Hey, welcome to Speaker's Corner UK live stream. It's Rob and we're here in Speaker's Corner. It's around 2:30 on Sunday and we're going to hopefully stream for a few hours with the setup we've got here. So feel free to join in, and if you like, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Speaker's Corner UK. So we're going to wander around now, see if we can pick up a few conversations and hopefully record and live stream for most of the afternoon. Let's go and have a look and see what we can find.
You've got worries in your life. You've got fears. You've got problems. You don't see the judge of the whole world. You've got nothing to worry about. You can live your life day by day with absolute peace, with absolute hope of eternal life, and nobody can take it from you because you know the judge of the world, and they can talk about all their doctrines and who's got this right, who's got that right. Should you worship on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday? Doesn't matter. You're friends with the judge of the world. He's going to take you into his kingdom.
There was no fight.
I'm hoping to start.
I can't take my visa transfer.
You do?
You email me, I'll give you
You're good, man.
Pleasure to meet you. How's it going, guys? Video Viz in the house. How's it going, people? Absolute pleasure to be here. I've got my key. There we go. There we go. Yeah.
My buddy Phil here, Skydive Phil.
Okay.
Expertise in cosmology. So we're going to see if we can find a couple of people for him to have a discussion.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely pleasure to see you in the skin.
Yeah. It's lucky to get down there. Got business down here anyway. So
Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. I'd love to interview you if you've got a chance.
I'll be
That'd be good.
Are you streaming?
It's just to stabilise and keep the shakiness, as a viewer, as a pain in the ass.
I can't write, man.
Back to the house.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Rob's here, my man.
How are you keeping, man?
Are you live?
Yeah, all live.
Hi, guys.
No press, please.
So we got a good little crew here. I didn't realise you was coming down today.
Yeah.
I just one demographic.
What time? Are you going to the Al Quds March? Are you going to be around here? Oh, your pen's run out.
We're going to find Phil now.
There you go.
Say big up to Stops.
Yes.
We need to meet him one day.
Yes, he said he's
I'm scared of him.
He said he's a bit scared to come down.
I'm scared of him.
He's only going to debate anybody online.
He'll get beaten up because he's too destructive.
They won't come online.
No, they won't come online.
Bob online, but it's challenging.
He says he doesn't do social media. He's like he's living in the biblical age.
It's in the 21st century.
Where is he?
Let me see what I can find.
There you go.
We'll have a chat later on.
Absolutely pleasure. Thanks so much. The Israelites.
Yeah.
Hebrews, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. No, yes. That's what he did. Yes.
He did.
Yes.
Right? So he does give commands to torture.
Yeah.
So
To the
you
Israelites.
said-
To the Israelites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But nevertheless, you
They
said
were trying
if
to
he-
conquer. They were trying to conquer back the land that obviously
Okay.
God had promised to give to Abraham.
Okay. But you would agree that God could have disabled the chariots without harming the horses.
He could have done it theoretically.
He's omnipotent.
Yes. Yeah.
So he could do
Yeah,
that.
theoretically.
Right?
Yes.
So we've got a case where God is giving a command that, at least on the face of it,
Yes.
appears to be unnecessary.
From our
heart
perspective,
torture.
yeah, from our perspective,
From our
yes.
perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he gave you the command
Yes.
to torture every single person in this park,
Yes.
right, you couldn't say, oh, that would be against his nature,
That would be-
because you
yeah.
wouldn't know whether he's got some good reason for that, right? Because you don't know what his good reason is. Maybe I'm putting words into your mouth, so let me ask you.
Yeah.
Do you know what his good reason was for torturing those horses?
Or you mean it torturing the Canaanites? Because that was the
No,
whole army.
the
It
horses.
wasn't just the horses.
I'm talking about the horses.
They're talking about one particular act.
Yes.
His main aim was to
talking
torture.
about that act.
No, but
To hoff the horses.
Yeah, but you look at, we've got to look at the whole as the whole picture, not just one pixel.
I know, but
the
I'm
torture of
asking
the
you.
torture of the horses was to one pixel.
Yeah.
The whole act was to destroy the, I believe it was the Canaanites, I believe, because they had been in that
Right,
land before.
but he could have done that
Yes.
without torturing the horses,
He
couldn't
could have done it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, on the face of it, then,
Yes,
it
yes.
seems like that is unnecessary brutality.
You could take it from that perspective.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't give
so
you a,
what
yeah,
would be the reason for him to do that?
to
He commanded Joshua
yes.
to hoff the horses,
Yes.
which to repeat
Yes.
is to
Which
sever
I guess
the
in
Achilles. It's to sever the
but in the
Achilles
bro-
tendon
yeah,
of
but in
the
the
horse.
broader context, it was to destroy the armies of,
I know
believe
that.
it was the Canaan.
But,
That was, yes.
but God could have destroyed those armies
Yes, yeah.
without
Yes.
torturing the horses. So that doesn't seem like a reasonable justification.
Well, they were all together. They were all part of the army. You see, so if you
No, but God could have disabled those chariots without pain to the horses, correct?
Yeah, yes.
You've
He could have
accepted
done.
that.
He could have done it.
He
Yeah,
could have.
but he chose not to.
He chose not
So you're
to.
not- you're
So
trying
to
to
me,
ask- you're trying to
it
ask-
looks like,
Yeah.
therefore, God is not a moral being.
Okay, you can take it that way.
So why shouldn't I take it that way?
Well, like I was trying to give you earlier, that the destruction of the horses were part of the Canaanite army, weren't they? Yes. So that was the whole point. That's the whole context of the whole thing. You're looking at a more pixel because it was a much bigger picture.
But so let's presume that it's justified to destroy the Canaanite army.
Yeah, yes.
Let's give you that.
Yeah, and part of the Canaanite
Okay.
army is the horses.
Right. Okay. So let's suppose it's justified to destroy the Canaanite army.
Yes.
Okay. The question is, could God have done that without harm to the horses?
He
And
could
it
have done it.
seems he could have.
Yeah, he could have done it. He could have done it.
Seems he could have.
Yes.
So therefore, it seems that the harm to the horses
Yes.
is unnecessary.
Yeah, but
unnecessary suffering.
Yeah, but
that he's introduced
but
into the
your
world.
presupposition is that obviously from God's perspective, there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Man is obviously more superior than there are to the animals. They're not in the same, not in the evolutionary
In
sense.
what way?
Huh?
In what way are they superior?
We're the only creatures created in his image. Animals are not.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, animals can't build structures. They can't discuss philosophy. Most of them just
There's
eat,
things
sleep.
that humans can do,
Yeah.
that animals can do that humans can't.
Yeah, but then again, animals can't build a skyscraper, can they?
Well, maybe they can actually, because if you look at
Have you seen
yes,
some?
I have.
Skyscrapers.
Let's define what we mean by a skyscraper. Okay.
No, building blocks, getting everything planned out.
If you look at termite mounds,
Yeah, termite mounds, yeah.
termite mounds are buildings.
Yeah,
and
well,
termites
yes,
build them.
yes,
And they're in terms of proportional height.
Yes.
They are like skyscrapers.
Yes,
So in that sense, they do build skyscrapers.
But can they plan it? Can they get papers from Quarry, plan
Okay.
everything out?
Can
or is
animals
everything-
plan for the future? Is that a question? Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
Can a one-year-old baby build a skyscraper?
No, they can't. No.
So the fact that something can't build a skyscraper,
Yes.
does
But
that
a
mean that they're
one-year-old
not worthy
potentially
of
could-
moral concern?
Yeah, but think a one-year-old baby has the potential to do it as they get older.
Let's suppose there's a one-year-old baby
Yes.
that has brain damage and will
Yes.
never be able to design a skyscraper.
Yeah.
Do you think we would say that they're inferior?
No, because obviously they have worth no matter what their
So all
disability
those
because they're created in the image
so
of God.
all those characteristics that you mentioned,
yes.
ability to talk about philosophy,
Yeah,
build
yes.
skyscrapers, I
Yeah.
think that's all irrelevant, isn't it?
Sorry,
It must be irrelevant.
not necessarily no.
But then, if it's not irrelevant, then we should say that one-year-old baby
Yes.
that's got brain damage is never going to
Yeah,
grow
but then
up,
again, the
never
one-year-old
going to
baby,
grow up to be able
one-year-old
to
baby
do.
with brain damage is abnormally. That doesn't normally happen. The norm is that one-year-old baby will be fully developed to be a functioning human being.
okay.
So you're giving me an exception, not the rule.
No, but I'm asking you, is it an exception? And you're saying no. I'm saying, you're saying that animals are inferior to man.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Because-
And the hierarchy, yes.
Because
They're not created in the
they're
image of God.
unable
They're not
to build skyscrapers and talk about
the
philosophy.
biblical answer is they're not created in the image of God.
So that stuff about building skyscrapers and talking philosophy
Yes.
has to be irrelevant then, doesn't it?
No, it's not irrelevant because the reason why we can talk philosophy, we can talk about concepts, we can talk about mathematical formulas is because as men, we are created in the image of God and we're reflecting what God's mind is.
But where? Okay. But as I said,
Yes.
a child with, let's say, hydroencephalus, which is a condition where their cortex is pretty much totally destroyed.
Yes.
Right? They can't do that, and they'll never be able
Yeah,
to.
but they're still created in God's image. That means they're still
Right, but they are unable to do those things.
Yeah, but
so those things, all right, you've got two choices. Either those things are irrelevant.
They're not irrelevant,
right?
Because
or,
you're giving me an exception, not the
okay.
rule. But how many children have that disease? I can't pronounce it, but how many children come up with it?
Well, it's not the only disease of brain
but how often
degeneracy,
does it happen?
is it? It's not that common.
It's not that common, exactly.
But
That's abnormally.
But you should infer that in those cases, those children must be treated like animals.
No, they can't be treated like animals because one, they're created in the image of God. That's what makes them work. That gives them value. You see, so no matter how.
So if you're not created in the image of God, okay. Well, let's so if they're not created.
Sometimes they say it's a little bit loud there.
Yeah. So are you saying being created in the image of God is what gives a creature moral concern?
That's what gives them the value.
Okay.
Yes.
So therefore, when I said in medieval times where they had a sport where they would burn cats for fun.
Yes.
And that was in the Christian world. That was the world was
but it's not,
Europe was entirely Christian
it's
at
not
that point.
It's not
right?
an explicit command for them to do it.
No, okay. But my point is that if you're saying moral worth comes from the fact that we're created in the image of God,
mankind, yes,
then there shouldn't be any objection to burning cats for entertainment.
Well, we have dominion over the animals.
So do you think it's okay to burn cats for entertainment? What do you think?
Not specifically. I don't think if you're just going to burn it for the sake of entertainment, I don't think that's a.
Why not? Why not? What's wrong?
Because there's no survival purpose for it. It's not you're not doing it for like food.
No, but people can do. It's okay. Do you think there's something morally wrong with watching Star Wars?
No.
Right, because it's okay
it's just
to consume entertainment.
It's entertainment, yeah.
If something
too much of it's probably wrong.
Oh, okay, fine. But there's nothing morally wrong with someone enjoying something that entertains them.
It depends.
By itself.
No,
by itself.
No, it depends. It depends what it is. Because, for example, I could find killing babies morally entertaining. No, I could find them killing babies entertaining, but it's morally wrong. Okay. It's wrong.
But the reason it's morally wrong is that babies have moral concern.
Yes.
Okay. But the problem is, with your argument, is that you've said that the reason that babies we are morally concerned with babies, right, is they're created in the image of God.
No, if you're looking for a hierarchy.
So if animals aren't created in the image of God,
then
that would lead you to the conclusion that there's nothing wrong with burning cats for entertainment.
No, no. Animals are obviously. I'm going from the Christian world, from the Christian perspective. There's a hierarchy of creation. Now, animals are lower than the humans are. Humans, the creme of the creme. When God created humans, He said that's very good. Okay. So we are the only creatures that are created in His image. Animals are not. Well, it doesn't necessarily give us the right to say, okay, we have to ultimately kill them for our sport. We kill them for our survival. We kill them for food.
But what's wrong with killing them for our sport?
I think that is debatable. I mean, some Christians may disagree with me on this one, but
I'm asking you. I can't ask every Christian in the world. I'm asking you for your opinion.
Because it's not.
What's wrong with it?
It's not. You're not doing it for a. How can I put it? It's not a means to an end. So
the end is entertainment, and we have said that entertainment is okay.
But entertainment doesn't give you survival factors. Like, for example, it's not a situation whereby you. You can survive without entertainment. It's not okay. Let me rephrase it this way. It's not a need. It's a want. Entertainment is not a need. It's a want. There is a difference.
But you agreed that entertainment.
It's a want, not a need.
Okay. If you have an entertainment that doesn't harm anyone. Right, just like watching Star Wars. The question is, if you agreed that there's something wrong with watching Star Wars.
Yeah, but then again, the entertainment is not a need. It's a want. It's a pleasure. It's a luxury.
Okay. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with people having pleasure in life, right?
It depends if that pleasure is hurting someone else.
Okay.
Yes.
So it depends on whether it hurts someone else.
Yes. So for example, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I can find pleasure in killing people.
So that's good. We get some common ground.
Yeah.
So if the entertainment harms someone else, we think it's wrong. If it doesn't harm someone else, we're okay with it. That's me. I agree with you.
Okay.
So we're good.
Okay.
So it seems to me then. Okay. So why is harming someone else wrong? Because you've said.
You guys said what is someone else?
Okay.
Is that human or man? That's the
question. Human or man?
Yeah.
Do you mean
human or animal? Sorry.
So now the question is, if it's animals,
yes.
It seems to me that the logic of your argument would imply that it's okay to watch cats burn for entertainment because you're not harming anything that was created in the image of God.
Well,
so your argument seems to imply that it's okay. And this is what Christians thought. When Christianity dominated Europe to the extent that it was pretty much illegal to be a non-Christian, right?
Which was wrong,
Cats burning was a form of popular entertainment.
Yes.
Right? So you could imagine what those Christians, how they justified it to themselves.
I can see
they
that.
probably thought
these
animals weren't created in the image of God,
I can see
so
your
we're
argument,
fine to burn them for our
I can see your argument on that one, yes.
Right. Okay. So you can see then that this line of reasoning leads you to a pretty horrific place.
Not necessarily.
Okay, why not?
Because there has to be, obviously, in scripture, there has to be sort of balance, so to speak. So, for example, we have dominion over animals, but not necessarily dominion over animals for our, let's say, our wants. It has to be for our needs. As human beings, we need
Does it say that?
Huh?
Does it say that in the Bible?
We have dominion over animals.
No, but for our needs rather than
it doesn't
our
say that.
wants.
It's just
it
me.
doesn't.
It's just
That's you making it up.
It's me paraphrasing. But
well, it's not paraphrasing. It's not there at all.
No, but I'm just giving you just the argument. They are for our dominion. You know, the Bible says subdue the earth and take care, have dominion of the earth and subdue it. I think the Hebrew word, I believe, means manage it. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
Yeah. I've got to get the Hebrew word. I'll have to bring it next time. I haven't got a photographic
memory.
I
have to sign.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear people quote Hebrew at me, they usually, when I go and check it, it's
check it. I keep it wrong, but be a Brit. Check it. Don't believe it.
Okay.
Don't believe
so the point is,
it's to subdue it. Yes.
Okay. So to subdue the earth.
Yeah. It doesn't mean to abuse it. It means to manage it in a way that's edifying. So, for example, there is in the Old Testament law, you couldn't just farm every single year. There had to be a time where you had to give the land rest. For
but that's just for practical purposes.
Yes, exactly.
There's no moral concern for the animal.
Yeah.
That's for practical purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So let's think about it. God does command torture of animals.
Yeah,
he also commands killing of animals.
Sacrifices. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He also, when he's upset with man, he kills their animals as well. Think of the Great Flood.
Yeah, no, I won't go as far as this. He destroys man.
Think of the 10th plague.
Yes.
Do you remember the 10th plague?
The killing of the firstborn in Egypt.
But is it just the firstborn humans?
Firstborn in Egypt.
Is it just the firstborn humans?
Actually, you're right. It actually is the firstborn of all the cattle, I believe. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I just read Exodus.
Right.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Think of the first plague. Do you remember the first plague?
That was the. Was it the Nile?
Yep.
The Nile
yep.
turned
Go on.
into
What happens?
blood. Yeah.
Turns into blood.
Yes.
And what happens to the fish?
They all die. Exactly. Yes.
So it looks like God is pretty. He doesn't seem to have a lot of concern for animal welfare.
He created, but then again, my argument would be that God is the one that, like it says in the book of Job, God gives life, God takes life.
Right.
Best is the name of the Lord. So in a sense, if God is the creator, it's logically possible to say that God has every right to do with his creation as he sees fit, because he's the one that gave life.
Okay. So that brings us back to the question.
Yes.
If he commanded
you, by the way,
okay. If he commanded you to kill and torture every single person in this park.
Yes.
There'll
have to be a reason for it.
Well, let's suppose he doesn't give you the reason. He doesn't always give reasons, right? Like to Job, you just quoted the book of Job.
Yeah.
The reasons for Job's suffering is not given to Job, is it?
It's not given to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So God doesn't always give reasons. Yeah. And in fact, it's a test for Job.
Yeah.
To see if he'll stay faithful to God.
Yeah.
So my question is, if he asks you to kill and torture every person in this park,
so if I got
and God said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you a reason.
Yes.
You just have to be faithful."
Yes.
Would you do it?
That's a good question, and the answer would be this. Because anyone could come to you and say, you can hear a vision, say, God, tell me, slaughter everyone in this park and stuff.
Yeah.
I will have to test that. Because the Bible says, test all things, test every spirit. Don't believe every single spirit, but test them. I will test them according to the word of God.
So how would you test it?
Check if it contradicts Scripture. And it would have contradicted Scripture.
Why would it contradict Scripture?
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not murder.
You can't have that.
No,
you can't have that.
No, I can.
You can't have that. I'll tell you why you can't have that. Because you've already agreed that God did command Joshua to kill the Canaanites. Correct?
Yes. In a certain context to a certain people.
All right. So it's not the case.
And that
so it is not the case.
Let me clarify my point. That passage in Joshua is a descriptive passage, not a prescriptive passage. There is a difference. You know the difference between descriptive and prescriptive.
Yes.
The
God,
command is to Joshua, not
Yes.
to every single Christian in the world. So I can't
Right.
justify killing everyone because I read it in Joshua.
No.
That's an
Agreed.
That's an
I'm
historical
not saying
narrative.
that.
Yeah.
That's not the,
Okay.
that's not the
Yes,
question.
yes.
here. The question is, so basically, if Joshua were to apply your test to his case, you're saying he should not have killed the Canaanites.
Yeah, but
because he's thinking,
Yeah.
oh, hang on,
Yes.
thou shalt not kill. This can't be from God.
Yeah, but that was the revelation he had at the time. The revelation hadn't been completed yet. You remember, God is still working through,
But Joshua doesn't know that, does he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was for his. There's the context to that when that command was given to Joshua. But if that command was given, if I so-called heard someone say to me, "Oh, God told you to do this," I'm going to test that to the book, to the Bible, not just not to my
Right, but
subjective
had
feeling.
you tested it to the Bible then,
Yeah.
you would have refused the command. No?
I don't think I can answer that question.
Well, I think you should.
Okay.
I think if you're being consistent, if you're saying I'm going to test whether a command from God is valid or not, then when the Hebrew armies are commanded to kill the Amalekites, they should have refused that command. Because you're saying, oh no, it says thou shalt
Yeah,
not
but
kill.
then you've got to remember they were in a
Right.
situation whereby they've left Egypt,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah.
They've been in the wilderness for how long? 40 years. So they have been a brutal people. They've been under slavery for the last maybe 100 years prior to that. So they're a brutal people. As you know, they're going from the land when they've left Egypt,
Yeah.
going to the so-called promised land.
Yeah.
There's the road of the Canaanites, I believe, and it was brutal. These people wanted them to be killed. So
Okay,
God
go
says,
on.
but God tells them you have to kill your enemies, these enemies. of
Okay,
people
and their
because-
children.
Yeah, because they've transgressed God's law.
The children, have,
Yeah.
and the animals
Everyone,
have transgressed.
the whole
the animals
thing,
have transgressed God's
The whole
law?
thing, it's all part of
How
collective.
have the animals transgressed God's law?
It's a collective. It's a collective. That's what.
So you
God
think
said.
you should judge people collectively, or conscious beings collectively?
That's what God did at that time. I'm not saying you do it now, but that's what God did to the.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he's changed his morality, has he?
No, it's actually still the same. God doesn't change his morality.
Okay, so in that case, if he doesn't change his morality, then collective punishment should be okay.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
But that is what you just said.
No.
You said you're judged collectively.
No, that's what He gave to the Israelites to do too, when they were going through the.
So collective judgment is okay.
Yeah, at the time when that passage was given to Joshua,
Okay.
but not
So
to
now,
us.
but not today.
Not today, yes.
So morality changes over time.
It doesn't change over time, no.
How? I don't see how those is consistent.
Because obviously I'm saying God, that was a descriptive passage, not a prescriptive passage.
Well, he's prescribing to Joshua a certain action,
yeah,
correct?
At that time,
Right.
not for all Christians. for all the
Okay.
time, yeah.
But my point then is, therefore, it would apply that God's morality changes over time.
It doesn't change, no.
Well, how does it not change? Because you've said at that time, but not today.
Yeah, for that.
So it looks like-
for that context,
Right.
and for that purpose,
Okay.
God commanded
Right,
Joshua to do it.
can God command you something to do without giving you a reason to do it, without knowing the reason?
Well, I'll test it first to make sure it doesn't contradict
Okay.
what's
So do
revealed
you
in Scripture.
remember who founded the Judeo-Christian faith? What person is considered as the founder of that faith?
Who started it? Abraham.
Yeah.
Abraham.
And do you remember what God commanded Abraham to do?
Sacrifice his son.
Kill his son.
Yeah, sacrifice his son.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, if you are applying your criteria, whether you should obey a commandment from God or not, and you had the Bible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It seems to me you should be saying Abraham should have refused that.
Well, but like I said, if you
And
if,
he's considered a great moral
but let me answer that.
person because he didn't refuse it. He went along with
Yeah,
it.
let me answer that question.
Okay.
Abraham had the faith that even if he had did that, God still had raised Isaac from the dead. It's revealed in the book of
Okay.
Hebrews that
Okay.
Abraham did it in the knowledge that even if I killed my son, knowing what God had already promised him, that from his seed all his descendants will come and obviously make Israel. He knew that even if God obviously he went through the process and had killed Isaac, God would have still raised him up from the dead.
Okay.
The New Testament, I believe in the book of Hebrews.
So basically, it's okay to kill because people are, if they're going to come back from the dead.
From his understanding at the time was that I'm going to
But
kill.
we're asking the question.
Yes.
When is it okay to kill? Okay. So your basis. So let me see if I understand your criteria. If God commands you to kill and He has a good reason to do it, then it's okay, right?
Well, I've got to test that though. I can't just accept.
So okay. So you've got to test it.
Yeah, I've got to test
So
it.
you've got
For
to
example,
test-
I can't just say.
But hang on. If your test
Yes.
is Well, I'm going to check it against the Bible.
Yes, yes.
And the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill."
And the New Covenant. It means thou shalt not murder. There's a difference
Okay,
between
what's the
murder.
difference? Tell me the difference.
Murder is the unlawful taking of someone's life.
Okay.
Yeah. But then again, for example, the state, in some instances, can kill someone. For example, if I was
So
holding,
when you
if I-
say
no, if I was
lawful-
holding, if I was holding a gun
Yeah.
and I was threatening to hold people hostage, you will have the what do you call it? The fire snipers will
Police
come
sniper
and
or
potentially
something.
will shoot me to death
Yeah.
if they felt that.
Yeah.
So would you say they've murdered me or killed me?
Yeah, I would say there's a difference there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's what I mean,
Okay,
yes, yes, yes.
So now let's try and establish what
Yes,
that difference
yes,
is.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. The reason why I wouldn't say you're a murderer is because he had a justified reason for taking a life, for saving another life, right? But in this case, in the case of like take the torturing of the horses.
Yes, yes, yes.
We can't think of any reason
Yes.
why that would be necessary. So it's not like
I can't
that
think
case.
of a reason off the top of my head right now,
Right.
but I could probably do some research on it for you and maybe
Okay,
come next week.
But here's the point.
Yeah.
We look at God's command to torture those horses.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, off the horse, remember, is severing the Achilles tendon of
Yes,
the horse.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay? God commands it. And it appears that there's no justification that you can't think of a justified reason for
I
him
can't
to
think
do
of it
that.
one. I might have to. I have to research.
But,
that.
you have
It's
to,
been-
but you're
it's-
assuming that there is one. But
There
you
is
just
one.
don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know it yet. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's
I'm open
fine.
my hand. I'm going to be into. I'm not going to
That's
just come
fine.
up with a
That's
reason
fine.
for it.
That's fine. Right. So my question to you now is, if you were in Joshua's shoes, would you have done it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
Right? Because it seems to me in the Bible, the implication is God commands that you do it. You don't think about it, you just do it. Right? It never says if God commands
But I suppose
you.
Joshua was a man of obviously of faith who trusted. Obviously, he was the
Are
second.
you not
in
a
line.
man of faith?
No, he was the second. He was the second to Moses, and his faith was a lot stronger.
He was
As
the
you-
successor to Moses.
Yeah, and as you knew, he was one of the, if I believe, the 2 spies that were sent to the. He was one of the 12 spies that were sent to the to spy out the land. And if you read the text, I believe it's in Deuteronomy. The 12 spies that were sent there, 10 of them came back being scared, and only 2 of them were faithful. One of them was Joshua, and I believe the other guy was Caleb, I believe.
Right, but what's
So
the
I
point
may have
of
been,
your story?
if I lived in Joshua's time, I may have been the one to say, "Oh, I don't have the faith to do this." So I don't know. Like that's why I said I don't know. I'm not trying to avoid the question,
Yeah.
because there were some Israelites, people in that time, who lost faith, who said that we can't do this.
Maybe
So,
it's
yeah.
right to lose faith if God is not good.
God is always good.
Well, how do you know?
Scriptures makes it clear.
but how do you know the scriptures are correct?
His definition of goodness is that's the essence of God. That's where we get the word good from. God.
Yeah, okay, we get the word Thursday from Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean that we have to believe in Thor to accept.
Yeah. Fair dues,
right?
fair dues.
So the origin of the word doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair dues.
Right?
Okay.
The word punk originally meant prostitute,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that anymore.
Or fun,
Word-
fanatic.
Yeah.
Fan, yeah.
I mean, words
Yeah.
change their meaning
Yeah,
over
yeah,
time.
yeah,
so the
yeah,
fact
yeah.
that it has
Yeah.
its origin there to me
Yes.
is irrelevant.
Okay, fair.
Okay. So you're saying God is always good just because we define it that way. But that presumably only tells you about how you're defining words. It doesn't really tell you anything about God.
Okay. We'll have to agree to disagree then on that one.
See, here's my thinking, right?
Okay.
I have a moral instinct.
Yeah. But where does that come from?
I don't know,
That's the question.
right? But I have it.
Yeah.
And if my moral instincts tell me God is not good, then,
Based on what?
well, based on those moral instincts.
How do you know what instincts are what define what's good and bad? How do you know
Well, I have to go with them. I mean, I have to
How
go
do
with
you
my
know
judgment,
they're not
right?
just- they're
You
not-
can't escape making your own judgment.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no escape from
Yeah,
that.
but there has to be an
Whenever
ultimate
you
source.
you
Yeah.
said that you believe that God is good because scriptures
Yes.
totally is
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So you've presumably made a judgment that
Yeah.
scriptures are true.
Yes.
So you cannot escape your judgment.
Yes.
We all have to make judgments.
Yeah, we all have a paradigm. Yes, I have a
Okay.
bias, you have a bias.
Okay.
Yes.
We all have to make judgments.
Yes.
So I make judgments about what is good and what is not good.
Yes.
Just as you make
Yes,
judgment
yeah,
about
true,
whether
true.
scripture is true or false.
True.
Okay? So I'm making a judgment just
Yeah.
like you're making a judgment. Right? Now, the thing is, if you just say, well, God must be good because he's defined as good, what happens when God conflicts with your moral judgments? Like, it seems to me that killing and torturing animals is wrong. and God commands it.
That's an
so
opinion.
it must be the case that God is
but
wrong.
opinions are not necessarily moral questions, are they? And they
no,
think
no,
that.
they're not.
What football team do you support?
I don't really like football, but
Okay,
Arsenal. If I had to pick one, I'd go with
Okay, I
Arsenal.
support Arsenal. Is it morally good? to
Eager
support?
man.
Yeah,
No,
yes,
but
yeah,
I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm not
But that's, for example,
when I was a kid, I liked Arsenal a
So,
lot.
for example, if I said that supporting Arsenal is morally good or bad, you say no. That's an opinion. You know, I may have an emotional thing about it. Yes, yeah.
But the difference between that is that I could give you a reason why torturing animals is wrong. I can't really give you a reason why Arsenal is the team to support.
You live in London,
right? I live.
You love Arsene Wenger.
I mean,
beautiful stadium.
Well,
beautiful football.
My grandmother lived near Arsenal football stadium,
yes,
and that's probably
yes.
what led me to support Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember quite frankly why.
Yes.
It was. I was a child.
Yes.
And I don't recall.
Yes.
So I can't give you a good reason.
Fair do, yeah.
But I can give you a good reason why torturing animals.
But you see, but it's based on
so they're not similar.
But you
in
see,
my opinion.
I think the issue is that if you don't have an ultimate narrative to say what's an ultimate good and wrong, it all comes to opinion and preferences.
Okay.
You see, that's what I'm just trying.
Where are you getting your ultimate narrative from?
God is the ultimate. Obviously, I believe as a Christian.
Right, but you have to make a judgment that God is the ultimate narrative.
Yes, I believe that.
So
yes.
you
have to start.
So
you have to start somewhere.
So it seems to me you can't escape your own judgment again. So there's no real difference between me. You're saying, well, okay, you can't say that that's wrong because you.
I won't say my own judgment. I say God's judgment.
You can't escape. Yeah, but you have to judge. So that is God's judgment. So there's no escaping your own judgment, right? So there's not really a difference. We have to make judgments. So is it? So let's ask you the question, right?
Yes.
So let's assume there is a God.
Yes.
Is it possible he might want to morally test you?
Yeah, he could do. I think he does that every day.
Okay.
He does that every day.
So let me ask you a question.
Every day to some degree, yes.
And in fact, Abraham was a moral test, wasn't
it was, yes. You can say that, yes.
Okay. So is it
know
possible?
your Bible, that's quite good.
Thank you. Right. Okay. So is it possible then that he gave the Bible to us as a moral test? That he actually wants you to condemn the bit where it says kill the animals. He wants you to say, no, that bit was morally wrong. And if you don't, you failed God's moral test.
I disagree with that.
Why not? Why is that?
I don't think it's a moral test. I don't think God speaks...
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying could it be?
It's possible but highly improbable.
Why is it highly improbable?
Because the whole point of God, he wants to be clear. He doesn't want to give anyone, for example, if God,
he wants to be clear.
He wants to be clear on what he wants the will of what he wants his will to be. What he wants man's will to be on earth. His instructions. So he wants
his instructions to be really super clear.
To be clear.
Okay.
To be clear.
So then why then did God not have a commandment, thou shalt not keep slaves?
I think if he's...
And why does he have rules in the Bible for how you should treat your slave?
Yeah,
because if he was... Because do you know, I'm sure you're familiar with the debates that happened in the 19th century about slavery.
Yes.
There were believing Christians that were very passionate against opposing... They were opposing slavery.
Yes, exactly.
But there were also Christians who argued in favour of slavery.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you read those debates that happened between the pro-slavery and the anti-slavery, the pro-slavery people, they said, look at the Bible. There's no law against slavery. And if there was, if slavery was wrong, God would have said so. Now you're trying to tell me
biblical
that
slavery,
God is going to make things clear. Why didn't he make that clear?
Let me clear, because the difference in biblical slavery, there was what we called involuntary servitude. And even according to the law of Moses, there was laws against just slaves. Compared to the slavery of the time in the ancient world, at least the slave was given at least 7 years, then he was given his freedom. He could go away.
Not always.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah,
there were cases. There were cases of that where you could sell yourself into slavery.
Yeah, when you owed the debt.
But that's not always the case.
Yeah.
That was not always the case. But my point is, not the way slavery was practiced in the past, but why didn't God make it clear that slavery... All right, let me ask you a question. Do you think slavery is wrong?
It depends how you define what slavery is. Because people could argue you go into an employer-employee relationship.
Okay.
Is that a form of slavery?
Let's define slavery as someone working for someone else.
Yes.
And for free.
Yes.
And they don't have a choice about it.
Yeah.
They are not given the freedom to choice to leave that situation of work.
And they have no rights.
Right.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Wrong. That's wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
So could God have said that's wrong?
Well, God made it clear about biblical slavery.
Where in the Bible does it say that that is morally wrong?
But then you got to define what the slavery is, though.
Okay, but where, defined in that way,
yes,
is it mentioned in the Bible that that is morally wrong?
Well, okay, when obviously slavery was obviously in the law of Moses, obviously the command, I can't remember off the top of my head, it's been a while since I've studied Exodus. Yeah, but it does say there was slavery. I mean, there's no, you can't escape.
Well, they did. There was the Jews were claimed to have been kept as slaves in Egypt.
Yes.
But it doesn't say that slavery was wrong. Only that that's God's chosen people. Right. So it was wrong for them to be slaves.
Yes.
But it doesn't say that it was wrong for black people to be kept as slaves. Right, for Africans to be
but
kept
again,
as slaves.
when the Bible is speaking about all mankind, it's not going by skin color.
All right, so where does it say in the Bible that slavery is wrong?
It doesn't say that.
It doesn't say
that.
God could have said that.
Yeah. But
so you're trying to tell me that he could have cleared these things up?
He did clear it up.
He didn't.
Yeah, because even in the institution of slavery, if we look at the law of Moses, there was rules. There were certain things you could not do. For example, you couldn't kill your slave. You couldn't. If you had a Sabbath, your slave had to have a Sabbath.
Right.
Well.
Okay.
So there was rules.
Okay.
There was the
but
rights.
We've established.
But compared to the slavery of say the ancient Egyptians or the Canaanites and stuff, biblical slavery was was heaven compared to what was there before.
Okay. But that's not what we're asking about.
Yeah.
We're asking about. We agreed that if you keep someone as a slave,
yes,
as long as those two criteria were met, right? We said there were two criteria. In fact, really, it should be one criteria in some sense. I mean, the two criteria you mentioned was not paid, and we also said, I think
they had no rights.
They didn't
have any rights whatsoever.
Okay, all right. Suppose they had some rights.
Slavery didn't have.
All right. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Suppose they have some rights.
Yeah.
They're allowed 1 day holiday a week.
Yes, the Sabbath.
But they're not allowed to volunteer. They're not allowed to leave their employment. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not. Suppose they're not paid. And they're not allowed to leave.
That would be wrong.
That would be wrong.
Yes.
So because independent of whether they're killed.
Yes.
And it wouldn't depend on them having no rights.
Yes.
Because in this case, they would have the right to a day off.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but we still think that was wrong.
You still had to look after them. You still had to, and the concept of a worker as worthy of
his
labour.
Let's suppose they looked after you.
Yes, and you have to.
But let's just suppose. That I keep someone. I look after them.
Yes.
I give them a day off.
Yes.
I don't kill them.
Yes.
But I keep them locked up.
Yes.
They're not allowed to leave.
Yes.
Is that wrong?
Not allowed to
leave.
Because you've entered a contract with them.
No, suppose I haven't entered into a contract.
Yeah.
Is it wrong? I've just by force kept them as a slave. But I've given them rights. I'm going to let them have a day off.
Yes.
I'm going to feed them. I'm going to put a roof over their head.
Yes.
I might give them other rights. They might be allowed, an hour's break a day, or who knows what rights you could give them. But if I have them locked up and they're not allowed to leave, do you think that's right or wrong?
But I'll go say I'll be wrong.
Wrong. Okay, good. We agree. It's wrong.
Yes.
Okay. So that form of slavery is wrong, and it's independent of whether the slave has some rights. It's independent of whether they're killed, right? What it depends on is the fact that they're they're being worked under duress. They're not allowed to leave.
Yes.
Okay. So that certainly went on.
Yes.
It's going on today, in fact. Okay.
Exactly. Even to this country as well.
It happens.
You probably see it in some streets of London.
Right.
With some
it happens.
Sex trade and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So the question is, why didn't God say that was wrong? Because there's nothing in the Bible that says that is wrong. Right. There is law saying you shouldn't eat certain
foods and stuff. Yeah.
Right?
Well, in a sense, it could be.
There's law saying you can't have a graven image. I mean, if you think about the Ten Commandments,
yes.
There's law against a graven image.
Yes.
There's law against worshipping other gods.
But
right? But there's no law against slavery.
There would be a law against slavery, actually.
Would or is?
Yeah, there is a law, actually. There is a law. Jesus said you can sum up the two commandments in 2 words. Love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, and love your neighbour as yourself. Okay. So in a sense, slavery is do good to others as you want them to do good to you. No. So because that is a condemnation of it.
Think about it.
Yeah, there is. That is your answer.
You know what will happen? You know what they said? If you read what people say, they say, well, they're not my neighbour. My neighbour is... other people of the... and they can just define... they can define neighbour as they like.
Yeah.
So God could have cleared up
yes.
that what neighbour means.
Yeah, and
but he doesn't.
Jesus did clear what
Go on,
neighbour
how?
was. Yeah, because
How?
if you read in the, I believe it's in the Good Samaritan, that's where the question was asked, who is my neighbour? And what example did Jesus use? He used the Samaritans. Now, according to the Jews, the Samaritans were inhuman. But he said that those people, not the people that are next to you that you like, are the people that you don't like. Those are the ones that you're neighbours.
Right, but there's no definition of what neighbour is.
No,
he's just pointing to them and saying they're included in your neighbour.
He's an example. It's not the people that you like. It's the people that you don't like that's your neighbour. That's why he purposely used the Samaritans.
So it's not
and
the people that you like.
And if you knew your history...
So fine, I can keep people I like as slaves.
No.
Right?
No, he's saying that your neighbour is the people that are not the ones that you like, are the people that you don't like. Those are the ones that you're.
All right, so I can
he said,
keep...
do good to them and love your neighbour as yourself.
Okay, but you could say I'm doing them good.
Yeah.
Right? I'm keeping them as slaves for their own good.
Yeah, but the definition of the golden rule in Jesus is not. It's not. You see, the difference. Jesus' definition of the golden rule is positive. Do good to others as they'll do unto you. If you look at the golden rule in other religions, it's don't do harm. It's based on the negative. But Jesus' golden rule is based on the positive. Do good. Other
but people could disagree about what's good, though, can't they?
Yeah.
So it's not clear at all.
No, from a scriptural lens, we know what good is.
No.
You wouldn't want to do something. You would basically. It comes down to this.
So you're saying it's okay for me to do something as long as I would have it done to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, yes.
All right. So let's suppose.
So you wouldn't put yourself into slavery. So that's why you.
There are some people that would do that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't, like, for example.
There are people, for example, do sell themselves into slavery.
Yes.
Okay. Let's suppose you're into sadomasochistic sex.
What's that?
Some people, they're turned on by being whipped.
Yes.
That's a turn on.
Oh,
for
yes.
them.
Okay. Yeah.
So if we apply the logic, do unto others what you would have done to you, it would be okay for me to whip other people.
Not necessarily, because that's still damaging someone's body, isn't it?
No. But now, okay. So now it's not what you said. What you said that other religions were based off do no harm.
Yeah.
But what you said was the difference with Christianity was it was based off do unto others what you would have done to yourself.
No, I said do good to others.
Okay, but I might think.
But do good.
That
define
keeping you
what
as a
God
slave
says is good.
Okay,
not
but
what
I
you
might
define.
think.
Remember,
But God doesn't define what's good.
No, God does define good. But it's His nature. He is good.
Says you.
We have to disagree.
Says you.
Boy, I'm thirsty, man. But
Okay.
I'll probably have to end this, man. But what's your name, sir?
Phil.
Phil, Innie.
Nice to meet
Good
you.
debate, and I will definitely look at that Joshua passage.
Joshua, I think it's 11:6.
Yeah, I'll check that. Yeah, it's been a while since that. It's interesting, so I've got to give you a good answer for that one, yeah?
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
Okay.
Thoughts on that? You are live.
Well, I think, there's a huge contradiction in his thinking because he said that he wouldn't. I asked him, would he kill everyone if God commanded him to? And he said, no, because God wouldn't command me to. But if you read the Bible, God does give commands to kill. So, sorry?
Men, women, and children.
And animals. So, to me, he's contradicting himself. It looks to me like God is morally wrong, but he said, well, God is always good because he's defined God as good. But of course, that doesn't tell you anything about God. That only tells about how you're defining words. So, to me, God is clearly not good.
I agree with you. Moral monster.
Yeah.
You know Gary.
Who's Darry?
Gary's the guy over there with the cap. He talks a lot about everything being consciousness and this double slit experiment and all that sort of stuff.
No, let's not go there. Let's not go there. That's a rabbit hole you'll never come out of.
It's interesting when you do the moral thing. Hey, Kalam, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, there we go.
How you, bud?
Good. I see you lot getting in early run.
Say hi to the viewers, everybody.
Oh man, jeez, this is looking hard, buddy.
It's a nice sunny day today.
Hey, your setup is sick, I need to get one of these.
Yes.
Let's go.
Live streaming. Let's have a little wander around.
Can I try this?
I forgot my monopod. I forgot the monopod, so you've got to move it around a little bit. Hold on to it for a moment. I'm just going to pop my hat on.
Wait.
One sec, Paul.
Yeah.
Hold on to it, Phil, for a moment. I'm just putting this on quickly.
How's it been so far?
Get some conversations.
Maybe. I'm only here for another.
Sarah was here earlier on today.
Thanks, Phil. Cheers,
I
man.
missed that.
And you?
Yeah, I've been here for a while.
You have to leave.
I don't know, must probably went back to work.
That's why Isaiah chapter 61 has been preserved as the Dead Sea Scrolls show us. In 1967, Arab boy in Israel.
Hey guys, just want to check that the stream is working okay. Can you give me a 1 if you can see it and you can hear it clearly, and 2 if the video or audio is a bit choppy? That'll give me some feedback as to whether everything's working well for you guys as viewers. We're on a stabilized system here, so hopefully the footage, the audio and video is going to be smooth and high quality, but let me know in the comments. Cheers.
They could be meaning different things.
So when we go with the one where it's what we observe, is that to say that is that going to the multiverse theory?
Well, does it go into the multiverse theory? I mean, the multiverse, I would say, is not really a theory. It's an outcome of a particular theory. So there's a theory called inflation, which is the mainstream view of cosmology about how galaxies form. And it's believed by many of the scientists that study that theory that it leads to a multiverse. They would be regions of the universe that would not be observable to us directly. It would be beyond what's called our horizon. Does that answer your question?
I was going to ask as well, one of the theories is that the white hole caused our universe.
Yep, that's one possibility.
Okay, so is that possible that the so-called based on the multiverse or based on the other universe idea, is it that those particular universes were caused by white holes as well, from what scientists
These are
observed?
different. So the multiverse is different to the idea of, like, there's some ideas that a black hole can bounce back out, so you get like a reverse, so hence a white hole. And our universe could be born of a black hole. That is generally considered a different idea to the idea of bubble universes. They have some similarities, but they're not the same idea.
Okay.
They're different ideas, different competing ideas.
Is there any way to look into that? Because I want to know,
Well, if you
understand more
subscribe to my channel, we've made a video about the multiverse. So if you subscribe to my channel, watch the video that's called Before the Big Bang 4, Eternal Inflation of the Multiverse, and we go over the multiverse idea. And if you subscribe to the channel, we are going to make a video about the idea that our universe was born from a black hole. Now, that video won't come out till at least the end of this year, maybe sometime next year, because we're going to film it in September. And in September, that's when we're going to film it. So when we'll have a chance to edit it all together, can take a while. So, and we're going to have a few. So if you subscribe to my channel, which is Skydive Film, if you go on Skydive Film.
Discussion with Mansour?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, just nonsense. It's usual nonsense. But,
Okay.
I'd love to see the video with the edit out all the bits.
Okay, yeah, click on that. Yeah.
He just talks at you. He just talks at you most of the time. He doesn't let you get an argument in. And first of all, he was talking to this Christian about the miraculous nature of the Quran proves that the Quran is, only from God. He said, well, you don't understand Arabic. So I said, I was watching, and I said, well, I do understand Arabic. I understand Arabic. I understand classical Arabic, and I don't find it miraculous. I find some parts quite moving, some parts not, some parts very dull, some parts are quite awful. And then we got into a discussion about that, and I said, look, at the end of the day, what you're asking people to do is you're asking people to believe something that they can't verify themselves on the basis of an appeal to knowledge. And I said that's even Arabs who speak Arabic, you're expecting a level of proficiency and deep knowledge which very few have, and so they have to take somebody else's word for it. And then we got on to the subject of hell, and I said it's disproportionate and excessive, and he was telling me about if you work for somebody and you don't follow their rules, then you should be punished. And I was I said, well, you should be fired, you know. But I know. And then we went on about hitting wife, and he was going on about, you know, that it shouldn't get to that and so on. It was just the usual nonsense. And I just got tired of it. And in the end, I just said, you know, thank you, Mansour. Look, I've heard all this before. Thank you. God bless you and all that.
You're two great guys here. Two great people here, guys.
Absolutely.
And Hassan.
Absolutely. Today we've got the A team in town. The A team in town.
Full here as well.
Right, it's not.
We saw Kalam earlier on, so
Good stuff. Good
two
stuff.
great guys down here.
It's a bit quiet today, though, isn't it?
So far, so I'm obviously testing live stream. Hopefully this will run for about 6 hours.
Oh, 6 hours worth.
So it's running at the moment, so getting some good comments here. I can see some of the comments.
Oh, nice.
Do you want would you like a coffee or anything? I'm going to go and get a cup of tea, actually.
Water would be awesome.
Yeah, of course.
I'll come with you.
Yeah, all right.
See you in a bit.
I'll get you a bottle of water, yeah?
Thank you so much.
In terms of what happened at the Origin University,
I wanted to ask another question.
yeah, go ahead.
How would you, because you know the flat earth,
Peace can be taken away. Jesus Christ said, I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. Jesus Christ brings eternal life. Never life.
DCCI crew, how's it guys? How you doing? What you talking about today? Paradise.
Where God is, then you had the nice boundary which formalized Christianity. And then what the Catholicism you have today.
But he doesn't like it, what's the point?
What happened, right? It's basically I stayed there a year with people taking the piss out of my left, right, stand left side. From the hairdressers, right? Every time I had a shower or went to the toilet, they would come out, there's a little courtyard about from there to there. My windowsill is there. They used to put their hot drinks or cold drinks on my windowsill when I'm in there trying to have a shit.
He's coming close to retirement age.
And I've got
So I
the
raised the
window,
point,
and
I
you can actually hear me.
Those priorities change once you reach retirement age. He should look into that because he becomes a priority case. So he's 63, but when he gets to 67, he'll be. Well, I think it's 65 for his age. I think it still is, but. He said he looks amazing. He's also very hopeful. He slept in the woods quite a lot, and the woods have been burnt down. He sleeps in people's cars and in buses and wherever he can find. He's an amazing guy. Yeah.
License, which was 24 hours, right? 24 hours license. Charcoal. Smoke.
How did that go? The argument
right behind my bed. All the smoke was blowing in to me like
no.
So,
I mean, none of them really do.
No, they're not going to, are they? You and I know that. You and I know they're on the rock. They can't win, can they? At the end of the day.
There's a lovely crowd over there.
I'm not doing anything. Unless that was the reality. What do you mean you were? First of all, I was like the plane landed.
the difference between forgiveness and taking revenge.
The Bible goes on and says that the angel went to Joseph and told him, oh, King Herod is here looking for the babies, he's going to try and kill the babies, flee to Egypt. That could not possibly have happened.
Let's try to understand. the Bible. How best not to understand is what you're trying to do.
The reason the Trinitarians use this as an excuse or as a reference for the Trinity, yes, it just shows they don't understand what the Trinity means. The Trinity doesn't mean three, it means three are one.
He's never claimed the Trinity. Of course he claimed.
No,
when
where?
He says go baptize in the name. He didn't say the names. In the name of the Father.
That's fine. They have the same name. So,
name is one.
So they have a singular name.
How can he can have a name of God?
My friend,
So
if three people are called John, John and John, doesn't mean these three are one. No, they are not. These are three different individuals with the same name. That's all it is.
You're comparing something else which doesn't make sense.
No, I'm telling you very clear.
So he said, go baptize in the name.
Yes.
The name is singular.
Okay, name is singular.
The name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Did anybody? What is the name of the Father? Wait. Let me ask you. No, based on this. What is the name of the Father?
The name of the Father was never revealed.
Okay, you said they have the same name.
The first name.
But you just said they have the same name.
He was called as Yehoshua, which means I am that I am.
Yehoshua.
Yeah.
You mean
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Do you know what is?
What is the meaning of Yahweh?
Okay. First and foremost, you said Yahweh means what does it mean? I am who I am.
I am that I am.
Do you know what is the Hebrew for that? Ahyeh, Asher, Ahyeh. Does that sound like Yahweh to anyone? No, it's not. So you twisted the Yahweh into Ahyeh, Asher, Ahyeh.
I'm explaining you what does it mean.
It doesn't have a meaning. It's a tetragrammaton.
God
At most it can mean someone.
God is what He is. So that's why you call I am that I am. Jesus claimed later.
No, I asked you what was his name. Is Yahweh a name or is it just a tetragrammaton, a reference to God? Good. So it's not a name. Second question. What is the name of the Holy Spirit?
The Holy Spirit is
okay. That's also not a name. What is the name of the second person of the Trinity? Good. Is the name of Jesus? Is the name Jesus or Yeshua the name
of God?
Wait. Is the name of the Father Yeshua?
Yes.
Just earlier he said no.
Yes.
He doesn't have a name. What is the name of the Holy Spirit?
You told in Old Testament.
Just in case this goes.
You told in Old Testament. God will never reveal the name. That's what I'm saying. He revealed the name when he came to this world.
Live on this.
It's the name of the Holy Spirit.
He's an image
Makes
of
it easy,
the
small.
God.
Is the name of the Holy Spirit Yeshua?
Yes.
But just now you said he doesn't have a
The
name.
name of the God is Jesus Christ.
So you're telling me the name of the Holy Spirit is Yeshua. You know you're the only Christian who would say this. The reason you say this is because you want to win an argument rather than admit that I don't know the name.
I'm not going to gain a cup. I'm here to tell you the truth.
But the truth.
You're asking and you're trying to jump around here.
Did I not ask you what is the name of the Holy Spirit? Did I not ask you?
How many Holy Spirits are there?
No, the one that is in the Trinity. The one in the Trinity. I will. The one in the Trinity. How many Holy Spirits are there? Okay. What is the name of that one Holy Spirit?
You can call it Jesus Christ. There's no other name.
What is the name?
Jesus Christ. You can call him Jesus Christ.
So the name of the Holy Spirit is Jesus Christ.
Yes, of course. You can call
now this goes against the Trinitarian creed, which is the Athanasian creed. It says that the Father is not the Son.
What's the Arab Christian?
But earlier you said no. But this language is.
Come on. Do you know people usually, over the course of history, they accept as being go back to what they reject as being false? There's a contradiction there.
They do, man.
Let's come back on the show at some point.
Yeah, but it's still contradicting because look, you can't have something that is a
time to
contradiction and find it still exist. Maybe it's an interpretation. What I'm giving to you is
I just think it's a conversation.
it's opposite. Let's call it nothing. Married? The opposite of married?
Oh, yeah. Stops in 2 weeks' time. 23rd.
Anything that I bring them together as a phrase.
You spoke about
Wander around. Good to see you, buddy.
We're not talking about making analogies of how a human used to go.
No, but I am talking about that.
You're saying a gun is inherently not bad.
Yeah, it's about the person.
Made for...
Right, let's wander around, guys. See what we can find. Quiet on this side here. Yeah, guys, so just let me know if the stream is working well, if you're getting good audio and video. We're using a stabilizer to make the video a bit better, so hopefully it's good for you guys. So let's see what else we can find here on the in the park.
They worked on themselves for 50, 20 years. And then they said, now I can say
if you can't prove to me that your mother loves you, I'm
knowledge. It is the 27th day of Ramadan. What is that?
Where you ask me to give us, which is worth about 1,000 months. So it's a very sacred
You're right, good. So I didn't have any intention of doing that. I thought we have disagreements. I didn't think
do that. If you see me around, just come up to me and say we're going to film. I'm going to be over there in my mention. Have a film like session, just me and you, and just film the whole thing. And I'll just say about my personal.
Anyone interested?
More than happy. About Islam, just someone more knowledgeable. I don't know nothing.
Hiding names.
Generally, what I have heard about Islam, I think it's subjective. I think it does
If you actually read the whole passage, I think it doesn't know that he wasn't actually racist.
As per your Bible, as per our Quran, we believe
that all prophets were sinless. They were good human beings. They didn't kill.
There are places in the Quran that show Muhammad he needed forgiveness.
What's the verse? Bring the verse.
Sorry, which verse?
Bring it.
I don't know.
No, that's fine. That's fine. A lot of people don't.
No, bring the Quran. I don't want to.
I've got a Quran with me.
Bring the Quran.
I've got one with me. What's the reference?
That's fine. That's fine.
What we
got the
arguing
reference.
about?
That's fine.
What we discussing?
Well, I'm saying in Quran we believe that Jesus was not a sinner.
Surah 48 verse 2.
Surah
48 verse ayah 2.
Okay, what does it say?
I don't know. It doesn't say what it says here. I need a Quran.
Okay. 40, Surah 48?
Ayah 2.
I got it. Where did you say 48?
48, I've got it here. I've got Arabic as well. That Allah may forgive your... I'll read the first one as well. Indeed, I'll read ayah 1 too. Indeed,
go from the one.
We have given you, O Muhammad, a clear conquest. That Allah may forgive you what preceded in your sin, i.e. errors, and what will follow, and complete his favour upon you and guide you to a straight path.
That's your interpretation. That's your interpretation.
Hear me out. The word forgive is there.
Hear me out.
Forgive of Muhammad is there, yeah?
No, it's not Muhammad. Is Muhammad mentioned there?
It's mentioned in what number 1?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So what is saying here?
I can't read the Arabic.
So it's not. I can tell you. It's saying for the mankind.
That doesn't look like Arabic.
No, it's Arabic and the translation.
That looks like Arabic.
Yeah, Arabic is
a
translation.
It's
a translation.
That's Hindi.
Yeah,
it's a Sanskrit text. It's for him to read.
Yeah, so I can tell you, it is for the mankind. Do you understand? It's for the mankind.
You see how Muhammad is put into
the square brackets. Yeah.
So
that's implied. It's implied that it's Muhammad.
So when
which translation you're reading?
as well.
Sahih International.
I bought this in the mosque.
Okay.
I bought this in the mosque, right?
So, can I explain the square brackets, right?
No, but you have to read the tafsir. Read the tafsir.
So when it's God speaking, so we have to concede that this is God speaking to Muhammad.
He knows the tafsir even.
Okay, fine, okay.
Just give 2 seconds.
Read the tafsir, what it said about the tafsir.
I don't know
Tafsir
what
is
the tafsir
exegesis. No, but if you only read,
Ibn Mahdi said, you people consider the conquest to be that of Mecca. But we consider it to be the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah.
Treaty Hudaybiyah.
Al-Bukhari reported a similar quotation from Al-Bara bin Azib. Although initially regarded by the companions as a setback, the treaty in effect served to promote and spread of Islam, which led to the conquest of Mecca 2 years later.
What is the Treaty of the Hudaybiyah?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Stay here. You talk, brother.
I'm here.
You believe Jesus is a God. Why you're comparing?
I've never said that. I say Jesus is divine.
Divine, okay. You
divine.
Believe. Why you're comparing your God with our prophet? Your
I'm
God
not.
is a Messiah.
I'm not.
Anointed one. Why Muhammad brought
Sorry,
back his speech
if God
of
came
Allah.
down in the form of a man, wouldn't you expect him to say some prophetic things? That's why I consider Jesus a prophet, because he said some prophetic things. But
So
Jesus is obviously far more than just a prophet.
Jesus came as a man in the world, and he was a God. That's what you believe.
The second person of the Trinity
He came as a man.
limited himself to a human baby and grew up
But-
and became a
but
man.
your
Who was
Bible.
looking after the world?
The Father. That's why the Trinity is so more powerful than the Unitarian God. Because God can come to earth, and so the Father still be in heaven looking after the world.
So how many gods are there?
One God, 3 persons. One hand, 5 fingers. One God, 3 persons.
Three distinct, different people.
Distinct.
The essence of the one
That's
God
the
is
creed.
uniquely in.
So if God's on earth and there's one God, where is the God looking after the earth?
Jesus is one person who was on earth. The Father is one person in heaven.
So 2 gods
So
now.
one God, 2 persons.
No problem, no
One
problem.
God.
Okay, no problem.
3 persons.
He's the second person of the Trinity, subject to the Father.
He chose to subject his will to the
Chose.
Father. He
What
chose.
How
What
can
did
a
you get
God be
this verse? He chose.
subject to a
That's
God?
your interpretation.
Can a God be subject to someone?
No.
It shows. It shows this is part of the wonder of the Trinity. It's part of the wonder of the Trinity.
Where is the Trinity from? This is what I don't understand. As just as someone that isn't religious, as just a person that's studying it, I've never seen the Trinity mentioned once. Actually, once I have in one place and in only one scripture, and that's the Quran.
Have you read the New Testament?
I know a bit of the New Testament.
That's the problem.
Okay, where's the Trinity?
Where is the New Testament?
5113.
Where's the New Trinity?
Sorry?
Where's the Trinity in the New Testament?
You mentioned the Quran. 5113. That's the Trinitarian version of the Quran.
We wouldn't let it go. I learned a lot from your videos, especially about astrology, science and stuff like that, astronomy and stuff like that. Thank you very much. Like I was actually asking Rob about you a couple of weeks ago when he came in, and he did mention that you'll be coming down. Enjoy it. Especially when you debunk the Kalam argument, cosmology argument. Amazing, yes?
Coming down for a while. Reminds me of you go me on Facebook or YouTube. Too many
I ordered someone saying it, but I'm not sure. I thought there was one yesterday. There's a big one yesterday. There was a big one yesterday, yeah. But I'm not sure about today.
And it's people making money on it. And it's feeding that.
Was you recording? I thought you were taking a selfie. I thought you were taking a free people selfie, you know what I'm saying? Let's take a picture. I'll tag you guys on Facebook. Sorry? Oh, you find them loads, it's all
Yeah, exactly. There's money involved. People that take advantage of that. People that take advantage of that. And take advantage of the people that they influence. That's a problem. Right? People that are misrepresenting Muslims by trying to create profit. Christians, evangelical American Christians, are the worst for this by far. But I think everyone should be careful of what direction.
Even here, there was a small group, Ajahn Chowdhury.
they were promoted to the max. You would always see them on TV. I'm thinking he doesn't represent the majority. Why is he got the platform all over?
It's the same as in evangelical.
There's motives. People with motives.
But you know,
we're puppets. The problem is that when you read a religious text, you have to interpret it. People come with different interpretations.
Honestly, I don't think interpretation has much to do with it anymore at all. They can say a message and not believe it at all. They can say a message and say that it's meaningful. Like evangelical Christians, just because you read a passage out of the Bible, they don't give it context. They just read it. And pretend to heal a man's leg. That's not really.
But doesn't everyone sort of look at a religious passage like, oh, that's not to be taken literally. It's to be. You're saying you don't do that with any religious passage?
I mean,
well, let me ask you a question. Do you think the world was created in 6 literal days?
I don't. I'm an atheist.
Okay. All right. What about you? Okay. So in the Quran it says God created the world in 6 days, right?
No.
It does. Yes, it does.
They don't have the creation story within.
No, but they do say 6 days.
They support. Hang on. They support.
It is in the Quran.
Days?
You know it is.
But
right?
do you say days as in 1 day,
Right,
2 days,
so that's
24
my point.
hours?
That's my point.
So if I
You
don't
have
know
to-
something, I'd go to someone who does.
Right.
And people spend years and
But
years
that's my point.
to
Is
find out.
people will go, okay, that's
Yesterday
not
I
to be
sat down
taken
in the talk
literally.
yesterday,
Okay.
Right? And everyone does.
The second surah, just the 2 ayahs, the two lines of it.
Yeah.
A guy spent a year just to give a tafsir, meaning to it.
Okay.
So there's
But
deepness.
okay. But doesn't that imply that the meaning is not obviously clear?
Don't take it on face value.
Right, exactly. You're not taking it on face value. All right.
The Arabic
so-
language is more diversified, so you've got to go deep into it.
There was never any footnotes in the Bible, right, or in the Quran that said take everything literally. I mean, that's the problem that they'll argue, right? Is that they never in the Bible is it mentioned, in the footnotes, not to be taken literally.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes easy to argue that it's allegory, that everything is symbolic and representative of a deeper meaning, right?
Right. But then you can ascribe your own meaning, right? You could say, symbolic, and this is the meaning I think it has, and this is the meaning I think it has, and this is... But the problem is, how can you avoid doing that? No, but who knows?
People who are learned.
Right, but they don't all agree, do they?
They don't all
agree on what something means.
If you could bring two to me who don't agree on the point you're raising, I'd agree with you. But until you don't bring 2-3 people who don't agree...
Well, okay, I can tell you there are imams that think evolution is incompatible with Islam, and other imams that think it's compatible with Islam. Same with Christianity. They say, no, the holy text says this, and therefore evolution can't be true. Others that say, no, it's perfectly compatible, you've got to read it in this way. And there are experts, they know the original text, the Bible, Greek, the Torah, Hebrew, the Quran, Arabic, and they disagree. And they're experts, and they disagree. So it's not as simple as, I'll go to an expert.
But it's always going to be something. It's always going to be developing. It's always like people's understanding, how people see the Bible now. The Bible's probably the most clear example for this. How people see the Bible now is very different to how scholars and academics saw the Bible 200 years ago, right? It's always going to be developing. I mean,
that's kind of my point. There isn't this truth that's there. You have to impose it.
I mean, amongst traditionalists, there is, and part of that comes, like, with that comes a little bit of denial of new information that does come to light. In terms of evolution, I'll admit that.
But you could go with many different themes, right? Homosexual rights.
It's hard though.
Right? Lots of people say.
Again, being like I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
I agree with your viewpoint, but it's hard to argue against people that believe that everything within these books is symbolic. I don't think it's an argument that you're ever going to win. If you want to make that argument, because they could argue straight away that everything's symbolic. Like, everything.
Yeah, the problem is once they say it's symbolic, then of course.
You run into a circle of, okay, how do I prove this? Symbolic.
Right.
Yes. you're almost hitting a brick wall on every argument.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Not all of it's symbolic, right? Some of the things they take literally. How many times they pray, or you know.
How many times they pray is not in the Quran, though?
No, but they take that literally. They don't go that symbolic. I'll choose how many times.
They do. It's cherry picking. It is cherry picking.
Right, and everyone's doing it.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I think they'll keep cherry picking. I think they'll keep calling it.
You'll find a lot of guys here want to take it literally, and then they want to try and defend whatever the book is literally. So if you speak to many of the Sunnis here, they want to follow it literally. So I think I saw you last time.
Yeah. You end up talking in circles, though. Like every discussion I've had on the same topic happens in circles. I mean, even if
the problem for them is they claim two things that are contradictory. One is that the book is perfect and clear from God. Let's say Islam in particular. Okay, but then when you look at the book, it's not clear and perfect from God, and you've got to go externally if you want to do certain things. So you can't have it both ways. Either the book isn't perfect and it's open to interpretation, because my question to them is always, could God have written that more clearly? And they know it can, but now they'll dance around it and go, no, but it is clear. When they
say, oh no, or he intended it to be that way.
Yeah, unclear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's contradictory. I think the main thing is to point it out. They're not going to accept it most of the time. People who are intelligent, critical viewers, they might look at it and go, hang on a moment, here's a...
They might, but I think that comes down to an individual's personality.
Yeah, of course, sure. Some people are dogmatic, will never change their mind.
I think the more susceptible people are to, this submissive mentality, the more likely they are.
For me.
Exactly. It's very convenient then. It's very convenient then to take it. I mean, I have met plenty of Muslims that have questioned certain aspects of the Quran, and there's a lot of people that are respect in speech.
Don't ask them. Look it up yourself. There's a knockdown argument. If they claim there's no errors in the Quran, read it yourself. Surah 4:11, Surah 4:12, Surah 4:176 talks about inheritance. You go read the verses and you add it up. It adds up to more than 100%. Now, the only way that it can make sense of it is to reduce the portion. That's not what it says in the Quran. That's the only escape they've got. Because Allah obviously did not add up properly in the Quran. And I'll ask any of them here, and I know the answer they're going to give me. So there's plenty of things, but that's just an inescapable version of it. They can't say it's an interpretation, or it only valid in that time.
I mean, have you made this argument before?
Yeah. And
where did that lead to?
Who's even more knowledgeable than me. And their response is, well, all we've got to do is reduce it. I think that answers the question. But at the same time, they claim that the Quran has no faults. Nowhere in the Quran does it tell you to reduce it. It says, here's what you need to do for an inheritance.
Yeah.
And when you add it up, even the Islamic calculators online add it up, and they say more than 100%. You go look it up online, I've got it on my phone.
Yeah.
More than 100%. And then they say, oh, go and apply this rule, which is to reduce the portion. My question is, where does it say in the Quran?
You're right. You're right. I mean,
watch tap dance. My thing is, they make grandiose claims, and when you show them that it's incorrect, then they go to illogical, irrational lengths to try and defend it. Second man that I haven't seen before.
Shall I bring it to you?
Young fellow with a very light-mannered short very slight
It's bad going.
Situation over there at the moment.
He gets offended by everything.
There is. Not a good point. He's a very light.
that's bad. Especially
I think that living worse than that, something you do this right.
As you say, soft and hard. I don't have any party. Really? I say hard is, I mean, the terminist, don't line, no religion, if you come to fact. If you believe in anything. Behind the camera. Look at this young man.
Yeah, how are you? Yeah, we're skydive. I heard someone told me skydive.
Yes, you want to have a conversation?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's what I wouldn't interpret.
I want to have a conversation, just a polite one.
Yeah,
where is he? Where is he?
I always put you up as a perfect example for people to follow on the
That's
corner.
nice, man.
On my website, Polite Hamza. You're the only polite Hamza here. The other Hamzas are not so polite.
Where's Sky? Let me give him my...
Yeah, let me see if I can find him. He's floating about here somewhere. You're still working so you're just down here about for holiday?
You are waiting for human beings.
So you're obviously going to come down. I live far away now, so I'm lucky to catch him. You're a politician, yeah? I'm going to see on camera about 200 miles away.
So if that's true, right, if that's true, we should be able to see a sign of that. Because on the end of every chromosome, there are things called telomeres. Yeah? So if you imagine your arm, let's say, is a chromosome. Yeah? Let's try and demonstrate. So let's say my fists are the ends of my arm. Okay? So the end of the arm, my fists, now and the chromosomes, they have ends, they're called telomeres. Okay? If they fuse together, where would the telomeres be? Would they be at the end or somewhere else?
If they fuse together, they should be in between, isn't it?
Exactly. They should be bang in the middle. Right. Now the centromeres that were in the middle, how many centromeres will I have? Like normally, each chromosome has one centromere. So if two fuse together, how many centromeres? And will they be in the middle? Because they were in the middle of the arm. They fuse together. Will at the middle of that fused chromosome, will the centromere be in the middle, the two centromeres?
Well, they will still be at the same position.
Right. They won't be in the middle anymore because like, that's the middle of my arm.
Yeah, that's right.
And now I've got one thing fused together.
Yeah.
So I'll have one here and one here.
So they're going to be, you'll have one arm or whatever it is.
Right. So if humans have a common ancestor with chimps, then here's what we would expect. We're going to scan through the genome and we're going to find there's a fused chimp chromosome in there. Right. And we can find that because there'll be telomeres in the middle that will line up with the two extra chimp chromosomes. Right. And there'll also be centromeres here and here. Okay? Guess what? That's exactly what we find.
Can I just say something to you?
Yeah.
That could be right.
Yeah.
Because there is a scientist who has done extensive studies on that, But what they found is, within the black race, that chromosome isn't there.
That's not true.
I'm just telling you what this person said.
Okay, but you shouldn't go with what one person says.
No, of course, you're right.
You have to go with what's in the proper high-impact journals. Okay? The fact that a scientist says something means something. What you have to do is go in what we call the high-impact journals, i.e. you have to get into the big journals like Nature and Science, and there are others, right? Each journal has what's called an impact factor. So the high-impact journals, they're the really ones that are taken seriously. Then you have to see, once you're in a journal like that, do other people replicate your findings, right? So for something like human and chimp common ancestry, when we look at the top scientific journals, they all agree. That's a fact. Right. Yeah? Right. Now, you can find some scientists who say anything crazy. There's all kinds of scientists are people, and they can also say crazy shit.
Exactly, and this is why half of them I don't believe.
No, but there's a way to find out which ones to take seriously, which ones do you not take seriously. Because you don't look at what the scientist says when he's being interviewed on some TV channel, what he writes in his book, right? You see what's in the high-impact journals, and you see what's been replicated by other scientists. If all the scientists, in consortiums agree, then you can trust it, okay? All right? If it's backed by lots of experiments, And lots of different scientists have replicated these experiments, and you can trust it. Okay, so that's very strong evidence. Yeah, that humans and humans did not evolve from chimps. They did not evolve from monkeys. They share a common ancestor with monkeys and with chimps. Just like I did not evolve from my cousin, but I am related to my cousin through common ancestry. I.e., we've got the same grandparents. So the idea is not that humans and chimps evolve from each other, it's that we share a common ancestor. We both evolved from that common ancestor. We went on different paths. Yeah? So that's what evolution says, and the evidence for evolution is overwhelming. Like no one in serious science doubts it. Yeah? And I could go on all day with different bits of evidence if you want.
And that's the thing. And what I'm going to do, I need to come down there a bit more equipped than I am, yeah? Especially
when you say equipped, what do you mean?
In terms of knowledge.
Knowledge. All right. So can I give you some recommended reading?
Yeah, go for it.
Here's a book I would recommend. The Relics of Eden, the powerful evidence of human evolution of evolution in human DNA. Right. I'll show you the chromosome 2 fusion site. Okay. There you go. So you can see. Hang on, let's find a better page. Okay. I would take this. So there's 2 chimp chromosomes. Okay. And the human chromosome 2 looks like those 2 chromosomes are fused together. And we know that because the telomeres that are at the end of these 2 chromosomes are in the middle of the human chromosome. Right. Okay? So, here we go. Matches telomeres at the end of chimp. So, scientists see how we have a sequence of DNA from the site in the middle of human chromosome 2, and it matches the telomeres at the end of chimp chromosome 2A and 2B. They're kind of reveal which of the... Okay? In the region of DNA sequence, there's 158 copies of the tandem repeat around the telomeres. The telomeres of one chromosome fuse head to head with the telomeres. Okay, and they know the exact fusion site. They can even tell you exactly where it is in the DNA sequence. Yeah, and this is a really excellent book. So if you want to learn how we know that evolution is true, I would recommend this.
The name of the book again?
So, if you want to read up,
I will.
Yeah.
And I'll be back next week for you, mate.
Oh, I won't be here next week. Sorry, I don't come that often.
No? Okay.
What's your take? You're a believer or a non-believer? Or?
Oh yeah, 100%. I believe in it. I'm a creationist, I should say.
You're a creationist?
Yeah.
Young Earth creationist or old Earth?
Young Earth, yeah.
You're a young Earth?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you say?
Less than 6,000 years.
So how is it that we're able to see stars that are billions of light years away? How can you explain that?
Earth, we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Those stars been there before Earth.
Yes, I have. Agreed.
Right. So
but their light takes time to get to us, doesn't it?
Right. Well, you see, that I don't believe. Because
why not?
People say, that the sun is,
93 million miles away.
93 million miles
yes.
away. And how far is the moon?
250,000 miles away.
That's a load of bollocks.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, I'll tell you what, right?
Have you heard of something called precession?
Precession?
Yeah.
No.
Well, this is how we measure distance to stars.
Right.
Okay? So if you're going to say you think it's bullshit, wouldn't it be a good idea to learn
precession,
what the argument is, to derive those distances, if you're going to disbelieve it?
Okay.
Wouldn't that be a reasonable thing to do?
I haven't read books.
You haven't read books?
On those type of stuff, yeah?
Okay.
But based on other people's research,
yeah.
And through their explanation,
yeah,
and a lot of it's come from, the flat Earth.
I'm familiar with the flat Earth.
Do you believe it's flat?
No.
Okay. Well, a lot of it's coming from people.
You think it is flat?
I'm 50-50. I believe there.
Can I try and convince you that it's a globe?
Well, as above, so below. Yeah. So in a sense, the sun being round, the moon being round.
Well, round doesn't contradict flat because the disc is round and it's also flat. Right? So round is not the issue, is it? Yeah. Right? So if the world was flat, right? Why is it that when you go to Australia, the moon is upside down? How do you explain that?
The moon is upside down?
Yeah. Like if you take a picture of the moon in the southern hemisphere, you take a picture of the moon in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere moon is flipped vertically, right? Now, look at the aurora borealis. You have the aurora australis in the southern hemisphere. They're the same. Now, the moon is a distant object. The aurora borealis is within the atmosphere. Okay, it's only 100,000 feet up, not 250,000 miles away. Now, if the Earth is a globe, we make a prediction. There are magnetic fields that go round the poles. So there would be a north pole and a south pole. Okay? The aurora borealis is channeled down the field lines. So it'll make a ring around the poles. Yeah? So here's our prediction. If the world is a globe, the moon will be upside down, but the aurora borealis will look the same. Because they're being channeled down these two opposite field lines. Guess what? That's exactly what we see. So that's evidence that the world is a globe. How can you explain that if it isn't?
Well, it's a globe. What they reckon is it's flat and it has like a globe top, a dome top.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then how is it that the moon is upside down in Australia? Because think about it. If it's a disc, so imagine it's a disc with a dome. Okay. Where's the moon in this picture?
So the moon, everything's in the dome.
Okay. So the moon is in the dome.
Yeah.
So if let's say we're here,
so
we're here,
there and we're
Australia's
up here somewhere.
here, right? We're up, but the Earth is flat. There is no up.
No, because you've got a covering, isn't you?
No. But okay, if it's flat, okay. Here's us, and here's Australia. Okay.
Because you're looking at no. You're looking at it as a flat plane, aren't you? Suppose you've got
isn't that the claim of a flat Earth?
No. Because you might have country here, all the way around.
How can it be all the way around if it's flat?
It's flat with a dome cover.
Okay, I appreciate that. There's a dome on top.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So
I haven't studied this yet, but I'm just
clearly you haven't. Right.
I'm just putting into,
Right. But why are you taking this ludicrous hypothesis seriously?
Because the reason being is what you said there with Australia. That's good. Right? I can't argue with it.
Good.
But I've seen equally convincing arguments from the other side. And one of them being, and this is coming from a guy who used to be in the Royal Air Force, but the American, thing, yeah.
The United States Air Force is called.
Right. Okay. Now he's jumped from parachutes.
So have I.
Thousands of miles, yeah.
No, he hasn't, because nobody has.
Anyway, I'm just telling you what he said.
Well, what he said. If he said that, then he's a liar.
Maybe not thousands, hundreds then, yeah.
Hundreds of miles.
Yeah, up in the sky.
There's only. Well, that's not true.
Okay.
Because
how far up can you go then?
Okay, I'll tell you how far. The highest when people jump from aeroplanes.
Yeah.
If he was in the Air Force, right? Most parachute jumps are from an altitude of between 10 and 15,000 feet normally. That's 2 miles. 2 miles. Okay, that's where most parachute jumps are made. Okay, there is very rare occasion. Now there are people called halo jumpers that jump from quite high altitudes, 25 to 30,000 feet. That's 5 miles. Okay, 25,000 feet is about 5 miles. Okay, that's about as high as parachuting generally goes. There was one person that made a jump from 100,000 feet in 1960. 100,000 feet is about 20 miles. Okay? So there was the Red Bull guy that broke that record. It was a couple of years ago. Jumped from 120,000 feet.
Right.
And that's one guy. One guy has broken that record.
Right.
He was an executive at Google. So 2 people have ever jumped from above. There's something called the Armstrong line, which is at 60,000 feet. That's where you can start to see the curvature of the Earth. About below 60,000 feet, you can't really see it.
You can't see it.
Okay, you need to go high to see it.
Right.
The only person there's only ever been 3 people who have ever jumped from higher than 60,000 feet, and they all saw the curvature of the Earth.
They all saw it, yeah?
There's only been 3 people who've ever done that. I know that because I'm an experienced skydiver, so I follow these things quite closely.
So when you jump from where you jump, you can't see the curvature.
No, because it's too
flat,
low.
Yeah?
It's too low.
Okay.
You're going from 10 to 50. So if anyone says they can infer a flat Earth from what they saw parachuting, they're a liar. Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, I'm not going to argue with that. To be quite honest, I do believe...
There's a video of the guy jumping from 120,000 feet. You want to see it?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll show it to you. It was live streamed to everyone. Yeah, you can see the curvature quite easily. Yeah? How is it every single astronaut says they can see the curvature? You can go on live stream videos from the International Space Station. Right? They all show it. I'll show you the video.
I love this man's setup.
Huh?
I need something. My arms get tired.
No, but that's pretty good. I like that. You got a little mic on there. You got a mic on there.
It's a stabilizer and it's live stream. But
there you
I like
go.
the setup.
There's a video of him jumping from 120,000 feet. Yeah, you see his curve.
Oh, that's him getting out of the capsule or whatever.
Well, he's about to get out of the capsule. Anyway.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one?
There, look. It's curved, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you seen the one with the rocket? They sent a rocket up.
One with a rocket. There's been a lot of rockets sent up.
Okay, well, this particular one,
yeah,
they put a GoPro camera on it.
Right.
They sent the rocket up. It got to as far as it could go.
Yeah.
And it just stopped.
Right.
Have you seen that?
But what would that prove?
That nobody's been to space.
Why would it prove that?
Because you
that
can only
rocket,
go so far up.
Maybe that rocket ran out of fuel. It's a different rocket. Like, you've seen fireworks, right?
Yeah.
How high do you think fireworks are? Not very high, right?
Yeah.
Let's agree.
Yeah.
Why do they not go very high?
Because not enough fuel to take them.
Right.
Yeah.
So not all rockets stop because they can't go further.
Okay.
It's because they don't have enough fuel, or maybe because their stabilisation is not
stuck.
good enough.
It got stuck up there.
It got stuck.
No, seriously, you literally.
How can you say that seriously?
You got to watch it.
Right, it got stuck. What did it get stuck in exactly?
Well, I can't answer that. You know, where the camera was positioned, yeah. You know, it was spinning when it's going up, yeah. It was going up and then it just got stuck.
It got stuck.
Won't go any further.
Well, maybe. And then what happened to it?
It got stuck.
It's
probably still up there.
It's still up there.
It could be.
Have you tried throwing things up? Do you know what happens to them?
They come down, gravity, right?
Do you not believe in gravity either?
Do you believe that people went to the moon?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay, so answer this then, because this is one that, you know, flat earths talk about, right? Is there oxygen up there?
On the moon?
Yeah.
Virtually none, I would have thought.
Well, virtually none, or so that means that you're implying there could be a little bit?
Maybe there could be a little bit, yeah.
Well, if there's a
in
little bit of
space,
oxygen,
there are chemical molecules, right? Where do you think oxygen comes from? From stars. So there is oxygen in space, but it's very diffuse, very, very diffuse. There wouldn't be any. There wouldn't be any oxygen.
Is there wind up there?
No wind, no.
Okay, so why was the American flag blowing?
Easy.
How?
Because they were holding on to it.
No, it wasn't being held on to.
Yes, it was. Show me a video.
It was stuck in the ground.
No, it was stuck in the ground, and when you see the flag moving, right, it's because they're moving it. Show me a video of it moving with them out touching it. You're wrong.
No one was near it.
You're wrong. Show me a video. Show me a video from NASA of that flag waving without anyone touching it. You show it to me. You can't. You watch those videos of the flag moving, it's because they're moving it. And the flag will move in a vacuum easily as long as you move it.
Here's a better question. What would prove that we landed on the moon for you? Because I also looked into conspiracy. At one point I thought, maybe they are. And I asked myself, what would convince me? And I said to myself, if we could photograph the landers that they blasted off and those are still on the moon, and we get photographs, we landed on the moon. What do you know? We've had the saline, I think it's a saline.
No, it's
What's the
there was the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Lunar's Reconnaissance Orbiter just took pictures of the landers there.
all the landers?
Right? Now, if you think that they fake that, just think of how many people have to be in on the conspiracy. Right? When they built the lunar rockets, do you know how they did it? They did it in no, NASA didn't build the rockets.
Right.
They used subcontractors.
Right.
So Boeing built the engines. Grumman built the lander. Different companies built different components. Okay? Now think about it. Those companies think there's two possibilities. Either the companies involved were in on it, or they weren't. Right? Maybe NASA was doing the faking and the companies right, were building the components that would work.
Yeah.
If it was building the components that would work, well then it's going to work. Because each company is building something that
they specialise in.
Right, that works. And they're going to sign off, yes, this is going to work. Right? Now, if they're in on it, there's a conspiracy. And now, why would you have all these other companies in on it? You want to keep it quiet, don't you? You want to keep it quiet.
No. Hold up a minute.
It doesn't make sense
your
what
iPhone.
you're thinking.
Well, my iPhone, right?
Yeah.
For instance, the glass is made by Samsung.
Okay.
Yeah. And different parts of the internal made by different companies, different countries. But they don't share in the profits or the name or the brand of iPhone or Apple. Once it's bought from you, mate. Listen, if you grow rice, and I've got a restaurant, and I've got a famous restaurant, just because I bought the rice from you, do I have to tell anybody else that I bought it from you?
I'm missing the point. I think I'm missing the point.
Yeah.
The point is this: if you were going to fake it, you want as less people in on the secret as possible.
No, but they could still be in.
No. Think about it. If in order for them to be, so what you're saying is,
I know what you're saying,
right? That the Boeing and Grumman, do you think they were in on it or not in on it?
They probably weren't in on it.
Okay, so if they weren't in on it, they had to build those rockets so that they would work. So why would NASA fake it if all the components work?
Right. So all it is.
If they work, why not just go to the moon?
Let me tell you something. If you're building a rocket, and you know, let's say Honda makes really good engines, Now, you know, I'm going to you and I'm saying, look, you know, can you build me a engine that has the capacity to do this and that and blah blah blah? Yeah. Once you say yes, you don't need to know what I need it for.
Right, but it's got to have that capacity.
Right.
Right. Because if Boeing knows that the rocket can't get to the moon, right, then more people are in on the secret. Better to keep it quiet. So, from your thinking, Boeing think that the rocket can get to the moon. They've built it, right? Grumman think that the lander can land on the moon, right? Or MIT built the computer systems, so they think their computer systems can work on the moon, right? So all of these companies are basically building something that's going to work, according to them,
going to work,
right? So if all the component companies think it's going to work, isn't the most reasonable assumption that's going to work?
No.
Why not?
Because there's been many inventions that's been created. That's been created. That hasn't worked. So it's no guarantee. Just because you
but okay. But when it doesn't work, people know that it doesn't work. Right? If
they
you
didn't
built
know,
an aeroplane,
they didn't know it wasn't going to work when they were building it, else they wouldn't have built it. Or they would have corrected.
Okay. But they can see the results of their tests, can't they?
Yeah,
if you build a camcorder and it doesn't work, you can tell that it doesn't work.
Of course, because it bloody didn't work.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me ask you another question. Right? Why do you think the Americans went to the moon?
Why do I think they went to the moon?
Or say they went to the moon?
Yeah, probably to try and get some sort of satellite navigation up there, maybe?
No, that's not the reason.
Okay, what's the reason?
The reason is very clear. Every historian agrees with it. Because they were in a Cold War rivalry with the Soviet Union. Right. Okay? So they were in a race, space race it was called. The Russians, right, launched a man into space. Yeah? They were rivals. They hated each other. Communism versus capitalism. Complete rivals. Now, according to you, they're both lying. right?
Russia and America.
Yeah. Now, if the Americans faked landing on the moon, the Russians had satellites. They had radars. They could tell, right? The British also had a famous radar station. Well, sorry, I say radar station. It's a telescope, radio telescope called Jodrell Bank. Okay. Now they tracked the spacecraft landing on the moon. Yeah. And their data showed that it landed on the moon. And in fact, not only that, there was when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon with Buzz Aldrin, the story goes that they got their path wrong. So they were going to land in the boulder field. So Neil Armstrong switched the spacecraft to manual, and he flew over the boulder field and he landed in a clear spot. Okay? Now that has a certain radar signature. You can tell whether that's happening or not because the spacecraft is travelling like this and then it's going like this. So there's a certain radar signature. And you could tell. If they were lying, you could tell because the radar signature is doing that rather than it should be doing that. Yeah? So Jodrell Bank tracked it on their radar and they showed exactly matched what Neil Armstrong said was happening. The Russians also tracked it. And they agreed that the Americans landed on the moon. These are their Cold War rivals, these are their enemies. They're in a race for propaganda who could get to the moon first. And when the Americans landed on the moon, the Russians accepted the Americans landed on the moon. They would have had the radar data that could tell them this was fake. They could have exposed the Americans as faking it easily, but they never did. So, if you believe it's a conspiracy, you've got to believe that NASA all back then are in on the conspiracy, but NASA now are in on the conspiracy, which are going to be completely different people because this is like 50 years later, so it's not even the same people. So all the people that have worked for NASA for decades have all got to be in on the conspiracy. The Russians have to be in on the conspiracy.
You're right.
All the astronomers have to be in on the conspiracy.
Most of the Western countries are in on it. I'll tell you
and the Russians as well.
Yes, because listen, but
you're
listen.
Nuts.
No,
I
listen,
can only tell
listen.
you're nuts.
The same time they claim to have gone to the moon, was the same time they all signed a treaty so that nobody could go into Alaska. Yeah?
No one can go into Alaska.
No one's allowed to fly over or go into Alaska.
No, they didn't. That's not true. That's false.
Google it.
You believe anything you read on Google, do you?
No, but it's true.
Do you not think there's
Has anybody gone to Alaska?
Yes.
Who?
I know people that went there on holiday last year.
No, not Alaska. Not Alaska. Sorry, Antarctica.
Yes.
Sorry, Antarctica.
Yes, lots of people have been to Antarctica.
Who?
Where do you think Bicep 2 telescope is based?
Oh, I said people, not equipment.
Who do you think put the telescope there?
Yeah, authorised people. But you can't jump on a plane and say you want to holiday to. Go on then.
We're going to Antarctica on our holidays.
Sorry?
We're going to Antarctica on our holidays.
Who, you?
Yeah, me and my wife.
Yeah?
You can buy a ticket now if you want, and you can go to Antarctica.
Right. Show me.
Sure. Go check.
Show me.
Yeah, go on. I'm going to
record
you because I'm live. I'm not going to stop that.
Yeah, you go for it.
We're going to have a quick chat to Vidovids here.
Yeah, so we are with Rob from Speaker's Corner Gin and Tonic, and we are with the one and only Hassan with One. How's it going, people in Speaker's Corner? How are you finding it today?
Yeah, it's great, man. Lovely weather. Not as many people out today.
Yeah.
Got my buddy Phil here who's having a chat with people and laying down some science smack, which is always interesting. So, because I don't get down here very often now, once every couple of months, it's great to be down here.
Absolutely.
I'm running Patreon, and hopefully if I get to $150 a month, that'll get me down here every month. That's
lovely, guys. So check that out. And
this devil of a fantastic person, he's 10 minutes walk. I'm super jealous on a Sunday.
How are you finding it?
I've literally just come down here just to get out of the house. To be honest with you,
I don't find the discussions here very very useful. They're just a waste of time. They're just a waste of time, really.
I find it very formulaic and
Who we got?
Absolutely. I just had a discussion with Mansour, who's a nice guy. They're all nice guys, you know. But I've heard it all before. I've heard it so many times, and silly analogies are made. You know, I was talking to him about unbelievers. You know, why are they being punished? It's such an excessive, disproportionate punishment. And he was going on about how if somebody's working for somebody and they don't do the job that they're asked for and they do something bad, should they be punished and so on? And
for eternity.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, you know, I just get bored of it, really. Like I say, I just come down here literally because it's my local park, actually. So it's my local park, so I just come down here just to get a bit of sunshine. And like I was just talking about the ancient Greeks. That they really nailed it long before us. The sophists of the ancient Greece, they used to be given a topic which was irrational or illogical or nonsense, and they were asked to basically argue their point in front of an audience and try and convince their audience of it. And they showed that you can actually almost argue anything. You can take any ridiculous subject, any nonsense, but with, you know, intellect, great arguments, using all sorts of, you know, vague language and philosophy and so on. You can try and prove any point, and that's what you just see here. You just see people just, you know, trying to prove anything.
Do you see a lot of ego here as well?
Yeah, the Earth is flat. Australia doesn't exist.
Australia doesn't exist. Australia doesn't exist, apparently. You gotta love it.
Just when you thought the flat Earth was the craziest thing, my son tells me now Australia doesn't exist.
There you go.
And we've got the internet, we've got all of these things. The question to ask anybody is, what would it take to falsify my belief in X, whatever X is? Earth is flat, we didn't land on the moon, there's no Australia. What would it take to falsify? What would need to happen for me to go, yes, Australia does exist?
Listen, I can prove Australia doesn't exist. Koala bears. I mean, come on. Koala bears, let's be serious. Kangaroos, some with a little pouch. Oh, it's a made-up animal, obviously made-up animal. Platypus, oh please, come on. It's a big cover-up to stop, you know, people knowing about the terrible crime committed by the British, where they threw all the prisoners into the middle of the ocean.
That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Vince, how long are you down here for?
I'll be here for maybe like a few more hours, maybe just see what's going on.
You live a long way away, or?
Yeah, about an hour and a half. Yeah. So I'm not that local, but I can get here on a train. Yeah. But it's not like a walk in the park. It's not my local park.
No, nobody's like Hassan.
No.
He's got the closest journey.
He's at the epicenter of all of it.
Fall out of bed and you
Absolutely.
I actually see some of the guys that I've got to know some of them here, and I actually see them sometimes walking past down Edgware Road and past my house in Praed Street. So, you know, I'm literally that close that I can see them actually going back home to Paddington Station.
Good stuff.
Cool. People in Speaker's Corner.
All right, man. So,
you guys need to come on the Gin and Tonic show again at some point.
I'll be happy to come on the Gin and Tonic show. And what's your Patreon again, so people can help you out?
Patreon.com/Speakers Corner UK.
Okay.
That's $850 a month. Then I can get down here regularly every month, because that'll cover my fare to get down here.
Absolutely, guys. Check that out.
Now, so hopefully the people enjoy it with you.
Absolutely.
I feel left out. I haven't got a camera.
You have a camera?
Yeah, where's your phone? Oh, there you go. There you go. He's got it. Well, there is somebody down here.
Come on.
We might go and see Adnan down here. Adnan, you spoke to him already? Sometimes it's quite all the regulars do. It would be nice. I give it a try. Yes, Jamie. that guy that goes over there is with us, the white top on the other side there?
Who? No, I don't think so. No.
With all your mind and with all your strength. My dear friend, you look in the life of Jesus. Jesus said, I am come that they might have life, and that they might have life.
By the sword. Why did you say that? Are you Rob? You're getting. What are you quoting there? Huh? What are you quoting there? What I quote? You quoted something. What is the context? What is the context? You tell me what's the context. I read the context.
Say it again.
I read the context, but I forgot about the context. Read it.
I'm not testing you.
Read it. No.
I'm not trying to win. I'm read it. Say what you said again.
Jesus said, sell your cloak and buy the sword. Buy the sword.
Look at Jesus. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. I am the water.
It's about God, the God of love.
He that comes to me.
You believe in God?
I don't believe in God.
Okay.
Should I?
Why not?
He's obviously conditionally loving, right? He's not an all-loving God, right?
What do you believe in?
Today we invite you.
You an atheist?
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Do you believe that nothing created everything?
I don't know where the universe came from.
You don't know.
No.
So what makes you sure of what you believe in then if you don't know? So basically your in religion of atheism is built upon facts where we don't even really know whether or not it's true. Is that
What
right?
facts is it built on? As you say?
Well,
The universe came from nothing. You're saying
it's built on no. What?
I don't understand the point.
You said that you don't know where what they created everything. So what I'm saying to you is, why are you following something where you don't truly know what you're following?
Well, we don't know the answer to every mystery.
Don't you?
No.
I do. It's in the Bible.
Really?
If you open the Bible, this here is the only book.
That answers every mystery.
This is
does
the
it?
only book. What
Okay.
it
So let me
predicts
ask you a
the
question.
future.
Let me ask you a question. What is dark matter?
What is dark matter?
Yeah.
Sin.
Okay. Why does dark matter only have a gravitational interaction, but not an interaction through light?
Well, you're asking me big scientific words.
You're saying the answer to every mystery is in this book.
Certainly, yes, sir.
So
Tell me this,
right?
Tell me this, right? Tell me this, right? Do you believe in a Big Bang theory?
Yes.
Right. So, do you believe that something created a big explosion and it created all of us?
When you say something created a big explosion, I'm not sure that's exactly what the Big Bang Theory says.
Okay, so what is...
Depends what you mean by those phrases.
Swap over?
Okay.
Did you talk with him?
Yeah.
What did you discuss?
Well, he was trying to ask me whether I believed in the Big Bang.
Okay.
And I don't know what point he was going to make with that.
Okay.
Maybe you want to follow up.
Well, we really believe in the creation of the Bible, that God created heaven and earth, and we don't believe in evolution because in my own experience, I find that the Word of God did so much describe my life accurately that I could really trust that the message of the Bible is true. What I mean, for example, it says in Mark chapter 7, when Jesus spoke about the origin of evil in man, he said, out of the heart of man proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, envy, lust, pride. All these things, Jesus said, come out of the heart of man. That was my experience. That was my life.
Okay.
But
there are evils that are not from the hearts of men, right?
Well,
I mean, there are tornadoes, tsunamis, mass extinctions. That's not through men, is it?
Of course, in that sense.
So that's not true then, is it?
In that sense, when it comes, to the individual, I look at it in the context Jesus spoke these words describing man's heart condition, I could see that what Jesus said, I can actually
hang on. Let's just try and get some claims down. You said you don't believe in evolution.
I don't believe in evolution.
How, do you know what the evidence is for evolution? Have you looked into it?
Well, I have in the past heard arguments about evolution, but I basically understood. For me, it's like this. It has never been proved. I mean,
well, what do you mean by proved?
Well, if you can create an animated being out of an unanimated material, that would be a proof.
No, that wouldn't, because that's not what evolution is about. So it seems like you've criticised the theory, but you haven't even understood what the theory says. What the theory of evolution says, at least in a biological context, the way that phrase is normally used, is about descent with modification. So that animals today come from ancestors in the past that were different to what they are. So, for example, humans and chimps share a common ancestor that was neither human nor chimp. Similarly, you can look at whales and hippos. Whales and hippos we think are related, and they share a common ancestor which was neither whale nor hippo. That's what evolution is about. It's about descent with modification, creating new organisms that didn't look like their ancestors. Okay? It's not about creating a being from a non-being. So it seems to me that you're criticizing a theory without really understanding what the theory says.
Well, I basically understood, at least this is how it often has come addressed. No, what often has happened to me, that people who claim evolution as the origin of life, often they would...
No one is claiming evolution is the origin of life. Well, because evolution is about how life changes. The question of life's origin is a separate topic. It's not a topic about evolution, or at least the way we normally understand the term evolution. Okay? So evolution, the way we normally use the term in these sorts of debates, is about how life changes. It's about the origin of species from previous species that were not like them. But it's not about the origin of life. That's a separate topic, which is called abiogenesis. Okay? So wherever your views are about the ultimate origin of life, they're separate from the view of how species originate. Okay? So they're just totally different topics. Okay. Not that the origin of life is not an interesting topic, but it's not the same topic, right? So we think that species arise through process of evolution, which, when I say evolution here, I mean descent with modification. Okay? And the evidence for that is overwhelming. There's so much evidence for that. Let me give you an example. Okay? We look at the evolution of whales. When we look at the fossil record, what we find is that the whale species gradually, like if you look at a hippopotamus, the nose is here. If you look at a whale's, the nose is at the top. So if whales evolved from a common ancestor with hippos, what we should find is that we look back at older fossils, the position of the nose will be changing. Yeah? So the more we go into the past, the more that nasal cavity will be moving. Yeah? That's exactly what we find. Okay? Not only that, we can work out where we'll find it, because we think we know where whales evolved. There was an ancient sea called the Tethys Sea, and there are certain areas where those sediments are exposed and we can find bones there. Yeah? So we look there, and indeed we find those bones. Yeah? We can look at other things. We can look at the genes. Multiple lines of evidence all point in the same conclusion, that they gradually evolved. They weren't created like that. So if you're going to criticise a theory, it would be useful to study the theory and see why you think it's wrong. I think it's not reasonable to criticise the theory if you haven't understood what the theory says.
Okay.
Same with the Big Bang. We have multiple lines of evidence for the Big Bang. Right? It's not one line of evidence, multiple independent ones. And the evidence is overwhelming, all from different branches of inquiry. So, for example, Big Bang Theory predicts certain abundance of light elements. When we measure those abundances, it comes back exactly what the theory predicts. It also predicts that there'll be a leftover afterglow, cold radiation that's been stretched by the expansion of space and will be in a very long wavelengths. And that's what we find. It also says that we look at that radiation, it will have a certain thermal property. It's called a black body. When we look at that radiation, it has precisely that property. So the reasonable thing then is to believe these theories because the predictions of the theories are matched by the data.
Well, I mean, that leaves me maybe with the final question I could ask you.
Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Right. That would be the logic of your...
Well, you can also say that many Christians believe in evolution as well, don't they? And it's not incompatible with their faith, is it?
Well, it depends. I think there is a problem with believing in evolution and believing in Christianity. The problem is that evolution is a very cruel method of getting to humans. It involves a lot of suffering. So if God chose that, it's very hard to believe that God is all good. Because if that was his method of getting to us, then how can he be all good?
Well, it can be, because suffering, when the entity is no longer alive, suffering, the memory of it disappears, so it hasn't been suffering.
Yeah, but what about the loved ones of the beings?
Well, in time they disappear, therefore there's no suffering.
So basically you're saying that if it's not permanent, it doesn't matter.
In talking about the deities, when there's no memory of anything, when mankind doesn't exist, when people don't exist, they never have existed, because there's no memory of them having existed.
So what?
Well, that's just a logical position.
No, but think about it. You seem to be implying that suffering doesn't matter.
No, I didn't say that. No, I made a position.
But that's the implication. You may not have said it, but that's the implication.
This is the implication you've read into it. The situation is, if there is no memory of something, if there's no knowledge of something, then that doesn't exist. Now, if there was a time mankind has no knowledge of a lot that is now known to science. If we must have knowledge for something to exist, the epistemology must precede the ontology.
Why is this relevant to what I'm saying?
Well, you were talking about suffering.
Yes.
And I said there is no suffering if there's no memory of suffering. No,
well, I think that's ludicrous. Basically, what you're saying is...
Well, no,
it's nonsense.
Please,
think about it. Think about it. Just think about it for a moment. What you're saying is, well, let's suppose, right, that Rob was suffering. That he has some horrible disease, and I can give him a pill to get rid of his disease, right? What you seem to be saying is, well, millions of years from now, no one will know whether I gave him that pill or not. Therefore, it makes no difference whether I give him the pill. It clearly does make a difference, because although in millions of years, no one will know whether I gave him the pill, he knows now that he's suffering. His loved ones know that he's suffering, and therefore he's suffering, and it matters. The fact that millions of years from now no one will remember, I think is utterly, completely irrelevant.
As I said, it's a logical point, a logical fallacy you're falling into. When there's no memory of something, that thing hasn't occurred. So when mankind doesn't exist, suffering hasn't occurred. It's that. Now, when somebody is not alive, can they have any memory of once being alive?
No.
It's the same as if they were never born. In effect, there is no life.
No, that's where you're wrong.
There's no memory unless there is God. Are you religious?
No.
So if you believe that, you're religious. That's your religious
I'm
position.
not religious.
Okay.
I don't believe
now, this gentleman here is religious. Believes there will be knowledge of God once people are dead.
No, but you're making an error. The error of your argument is this. Okay, you're saying that it's the same as if he didn't exist when he dies. Okay, now it's true that at that point in time it's the same, but there's all this time before then where it's not the same, and that time matters.
That will all be forgotten. Mankind individual.
So what will be forgotten? So what?
I'm not asking that question to be forgotten.
But you are. But you're
so what we have is.
What's your point?
So what we have, that you appreciate the point. You appreciate the logical rigour of what I'm saying.
No, there's no logical rigour.
Let's go back to the logical rigour.
There's no logical rigour.
Okay, let's address this. When somebody is not alive, can they have any memory of having been alive? Therefore, you're conceding the logical
No,
rigor.
I'm not.
Okay.
No, let me try and explain why I'm not.
No, you're in our self-contradiction.
No, I'm not.
If somebody is not alive, they can have memories, experience of what it was to be alive.
Okay.
But by definition, life and death are disparate.
Can I explain why there's no contradiction? Okay. The reason that there's no contradiction is, I agree with you, after they die, they are not going to know what happened during their life. Concede that point completely.
So the suffering disappears?
No. Okay.
They have no memory of it.
Okay.
They're individual
Hang on.
You're contradicting yourself
No.
again.
Let me finish. If you let me finish, I'll explain why I'm not.
concise, please.
Okay. All right. The reason there's no contradiction is because the suffering does not disappear from reality. It was there. Okay.
What is it that was there?
Their suffering experience
is a subjective experience. We agree on that. Yeah. It's subjective. So therefore, if that entity no longer exists, so to have that subjective experience or memory of it, therefore the suffering disappears.
Okay, but it doesn't disappear from reality. Okay, it may not be. Hang on. Okay. You're missing the point.
Again, self-contradiction.
No. Look, let me finish.
Define reality.
Everything that exists.
Okay, it exists within the mind. It's what we have knowledge. It's subjective. There's a false disparity, the dichotomy between objective and subjective. Objective is where people agree on something. We call it objective. So in that experience is subjective. That's what it is. What is there outside subjective experience? We can't know, because by definition, it is subjective.
Well,
unless you're religious, unless you're religious, and something is inserted into one subjectivity.
But what? Okay, but that makes no difference.
Intellectual position is actually conducive
Can I respond?
The religious outlook.
Can I respond without interruption? Okay. The point you're implying that because eventually we will die and our experience of the world will be over, that suffering didn't matter when we were alive. But that suffering does matter when we're alive. It matters to us. The fact that it will end makes absolutely no difference. Okay? Your suffering now, or tomorrow, or yesterday, that suffering is real. The fact that it won't be experienced by you after you die is totally, completely irrelevant to the point.
We therefore define experience. You must have memory of something. An experience must be remembered for it to have occurred. If you have no memory, a sleeping man, can you speak to a man who is sleeping? Can you ask him who he is?
Okay, you're missing the point.
No, it's exactly the point.
It isn't the point.
This is a total point. No, what you're saying is the consequences, if that was to be prevalent, the consequences of that approach on society, that's something different. That's something else.
No, it's the same.
It is not.
If you understand the point, which you clearly don't, right? The point that I'm making.
I don't know what point you're making. Could you elucidate it?
Okay, so you don't know the point I'm making, but yet you've come into the conversation.
Because you have failed to make a coherent point.
But you haven't let me make the point.
No, your argument has failed, and you're repeating your argument.
Okay. You didn't even know what the original point was, do you?
I heard you talk of suffering.
Right, and what was the point?
The point you were making, that how do you reconcile suffering with a good God, that question has existed for centuries, for millennia. But I made the point, one doesn't hear of it much when there is no memory, therefore there is no suffering.
Right, but the suffering existed at the time that there was memory. Agreed? Do you agree with that?
All of our
yes or no? Do you agree with that?
All of our subjective experience is remembered. We do not live in the immediate moment. Animals live in the immediate moment. Animals don't have language. We have language with abstraction.
Sorry, hang on. You're saying that animals only live in the moment and we live...
They have cued response to the stimuli around them. Animals don't have minds. They don't have language.
Bullshit.
They do not have abstraction.
That's total bullshit.
Okay. Can you name me an animal which is an atheist?
Every animal's an atheist. I don't believe in God as far as we know. Okay, hang on. This is a ridiculous point. Let me try and explain why this is a ridiculous point.
Your argument.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
No. Think about it. Think about it for a moment. You're trying to infer whether animals have minds about whether they're atheists or not. But that's not how we find out whether animals have minds. There are a lot of tests. If you look at the scientific literature on what's called theory of mind, you can see that a lot of evidence that animals have minds. Okay. Not only do they have minds, but they also have what's called mental time travel. It's called mental time travel.
No, they have what we might call experience consciousness.
They have memories.
Therefore,
they also have
they
memories.
have cued responses to the environment. Like a very small child doesn't have a mind as a cued response to its environment.
No, you're wrong again.
The purpose of survival.
Wrong again.
Now, what are the abstractions? Mind is defined by abstraction. The concept of mind itself is an abstraction. Now define.
Right. Did you read the recent study about bees that showed that they understand the concept of zero? Did you read that study? Okay. Did you read the study? Did you read the? Okay. Did you read the study?
Doesn't mean it's true.
Okay, but you haven't even looked into it. You haven't looked into it. You're basically saying that animals don't have minds, but you haven't even read the literature that claims that they do, and the experiments that show that they do.
Sir, I did ask you, when you said animals have minds, I asked you, are any of them atheists? That was my response. Are they or not?
Depends how you define atheist.
Have a mind. He's a Christian, you're not. Are the believers in God and atheists among
But what's that got to do with them having a mind?
Because that's an activity of the mind.
Yeah, but there are other activities of the mind. That is only one activity of the mind. I could ask people.
How do you know?
I could ask people.
You contradict yourself.
Okay, no. I could ask people.
Sir,
what's your
how
opinion?
do you know animals aren't atheists? Aren't Muslims? Aren't Buddhists? How do you know?
Well, there's no evidence that they are.
Well, you say they have a mind. We have minds.
Yes.
People have religious.
Yes.
Believe in
but we don't see them doing any activities that would associate with
okay, therefore, what you're therefore stating is that animals could be Muslim, they could be Buddhist, they could be Hindu, and they could be pagans. That's what you're saying. Because you do not know. So it's
have you got any evidence that they are?
Sir, I'm asking you.
Have you got any evidence that they are?
I'm developing what passes as an argument. Therefore, if they have mind, they might be religious.
They might have religious beliefs, but we have no evidence that they do. Right? Unless you want to show me some, anything might be true. We could be living in the Matrix. This could all be a dream. Anything might be true. Show me some evidence that it is true.
I'm asking for the evidence that they might be religious. So
but I haven't claimed that they're religious. Okay, but you also said that they don't have minds, and that is a pile of bullshit. Now let me try. Let me respond to your point. Let me respond to
abstraction.
Are you going
to have mind? Because you need memory.
Okay.
What is an event?
Can I respond? If you're gonna. Okay. All right. Let me respond. Okay, you've said that animals need language to have minds.
I didn't say that.
That is what you just said.
No. Man is not an animal.
Rewind the tape. I want to hear what he said.
No, carrot. Man.
You, right, live audience, rewind the tape, check that this guy said. Because you did just say that you need language to have a mind. That's what you said.
Man, which is my subjective experience.
Okay.
Man.
Well, how do you explain the fact
that
there are people?
I then asked you said animals may be Muslim. That's what you said. Or maybe Buddhist, or maybe pagan. I think that is preposterous. Then we went into defining that. Now,
I never said that.
You agreed to it.
Okay, I said
it will see that when you rewind it.
I said
and the internet will hear you say
that. I said I don't know their beliefs. Okay?
Their beliefs.
They might have beliefs about a deity. It's possible.
So animals, some will have
animals do have beliefs.
So some
do you accept that?
Some will have anti-beliefs. So some will be atheist, agnostic, or whatsoever.
They may have no beliefs about God of any kind. We have no evidence that they have any beliefs about God. Okay, but we do have evidence that they have beliefs.
More self-contradiction. If you have no evidence, why are you saying they might? What's the premise about argument?
If you think no evidence is the same, no. You don't even understand what a logical contradiction is.
I'm saying categorically, a pigeon is not a Muslim. A crocodile is not a pagan. A flea is not a worshipper of whatever sort. No, I'm saying categorically.
You're saying categorically an animal has no belief or no belief in God?
Belief systems.
Okay, what do you mean by belief system? So can an animal have a belief about something? No.
And I exclude man.
Right,
because
that is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard. So you don't think that an animal has... Okay, now let's think about this.
Are you trolling or are you serious?
I'm serious.
Right. Okay. Are you familiar with the experiment about?
Move a bit that way because this guy's yelling there. So just slowly.
Okay.
Just a little bit over there.
Okay. Are you familiar with experiments on dolphin metacognition? No. Okay, let me try and explain to you the experiment.
When you say try to explain, that's ad hominem, as if there's a difficulty to explain. Now, I haven't used it.
It's a simple statement. If you can't let me make a simple statement.
Intellectual integrity, please.
By saying try to explain.
I'll try to explain.
Okay.
Because cognition.
Okay, I'm not having it.
Speaking my faith. This is Jesus speaking my faith.
This is a waste of time. I'm trying to say try and explain, and he's like, I'm making an ad hominem for saying try to explain. Then that's just a troll. That's not someone that really wants to make a serious argument.
He talks over everybody all the time.
Absolutely no fucking interest. No.
Not the best way to finish it.
No. I mean, unless you got something you can line up now. There's more fun to be had going dancing. This is fun. All right, I'll see you later. Okay.
All right. Yeah, shall we? Yeah, give us a shout on the phone.
Okay, Phil's off dancing. That last guy, if he was serious, it was a pile of nonsense. I thought he was more of a troll, but Phil said I've had enough now. He had to go meet somebody anyway. So we'll say goodbye to Phil. I'll still be here for a while. So let's walk around and see what we can find. By the way, if you're enjoying the stream, let me know with a thumbs up. And if you want to support me, then go to patreon.com/Speakers Corner UK. When I hit $150 a month, I'll get down here every single month. At the moment, I'm lucky to get down here every 2 months, and I'll stream just like this for hours so that you guys who are Patreons can watch. So let's go and have a look around, see what else we can find.
Say again? Yeah, it's live already. It's going live. Speakers Corner UK.
You don't need to kind of get that excited. I'll come to you.
No, come on, brother. I was standing here before you, man.
Brother, there's 50,000 cameras around.
Yeah, I don't want to be.
Yeah, but I don't know who you are and who you're filming for. It does matter to me. It does matter to me. It does matter. I want to know who you're filming for.
You're having a conversation about Speakers Corner UK. What difference does it make? There's
That does make a difference to me.
cameras all around it.
I don't talk to certain types of media.
Only the type you like.
No. I talk to anyone that's unbiased.
Who's unbiased here? Oh, there you go.
Exactly. That's why I don't talk to media.
Refute yourself. Never mind. Nonsense. Gabs, how are you doing, brother?
I'm saying you're good, Jack.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Muslim doesn't want to be filmed by anybody who's unbiased. That is stupid stuff. There's no end of stupid stuff. Speakers Corner as we've heard today so far.
Yeah, we're free. Well,
He walked away, he went dancing. He'd had enough of that guy.
No, but brother, what I'm saying is, according to the Quran, no, I'm on the Quran alone. I follow Quran alone.
Quran alone?
He's a Quranic.
He Muslim.
No, he's a Quranic. I'm saying that he said.
What do you mean you can't happen? Can't be done, bro.
Okay, this is another guy. This can go into a debate just between you two. What I'm trying to say to you is this.
Where is God, yeah?
No, I'm saying to you.
We're not one with God.
No, I'm saying to you that
No, but
within
you can't say that,
Bro, let me just
of course, if you say that,
afterwards. Now, that if the only reason why you're talking to me now, is because you have the soul of Allah inside you.
Yeah.
Are you and Allah one?
Right, first of all, you called me over.
Yeah, I know. You're the only Muslim I saw. Because everyone else around me wasn't
No, because you look Muslim. But we said very clearly in the Quran, it says, right, for the Quran, نحن أقرب إليكم من حبل الوريد. We're closer to you than the jugular vein. That's right. That doesn't mean God is there, right? In terms of his knowledge. Ask any kid, where is God? Up there. And many verses in the Quran, where is God? He's in the heaven.
Okay.
No, but he
now,
established.
would you agree, according to the Quran, that you have the soul of Allah inside you?
There's a big Korean.
A mother and a father. That is 2 or more daughters, a wife, a mother, or a father.
Can you read the verse for 11 and see whether your understanding is correct?
Allah instructs you concerning your children, for the male, what is equal to the share of 2 females.
Right. So what do you understand from this?
But if there are only daughters, 2 or more, for them is 2/3 of one's estate. Okay?
What do you understand
So the
from
Quran is so far saying that kind of 2/3 of the man's estate is to go to his daughters. And
in what case? In what case? Okay. I'm asking a question.
The Quran goes on to say.
In what case?
And if there is only.
And there is no son. What if there are sons in the 3 daughters? Then what? According to this case. But the
Quran goes on. And if there is only one, for her is half. And for one's parents, to each of them is 1/6 of his estate if he left children. Okay, so far we have given away 2/3 of the estate to the daughters. And now 1/6 of the estate to the mother and 1/6 of the estate to the father. We have now given away 2/3 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 equals 1. All of the estate has now been given away. But the Quran continues. It goes on to say in verse 12 of Surah 4, and for you is half of what your wives leave if they have no child. But if they have a child, for you is 1/4 of what they leave. But if you leave a child, then for them is 1/8 of what you leave. So, the Quran is also telling you to give away 1/8 of your estate to the wife. So, let us add it all up. You give away 2/3 to the daughters, 1/6 to the mother, 1/6 to the father, and 1/8 to the wife. How much does that add up to?
It's crazy.
9 eighths. 1 and 1/8. 112.5%. And you cannot give away more than 100% of the estate, can you? You can't give away more than 100% of anything. It is exactly the same as if, it is exactly as impossible as if I said to you, give half of your pizza to your son, half of your pizza to your daughter, and half of your pizza to your cousin. If I said that to someone, you would tell me, that's impossible.
Let him carry on.
You've made a mistake. Because there is a mistake here. You can't give away more than 100%.
Do you know how the denominator?
And yet, the Quran is telling you to do exactly that.
I'll ask you a question.
And the reason is
do
because
you know how the
Quran is not
work
written
in these
by a
verses?
hyper-intelligent God. It is written.
Yeah, it sounds like he doesn't want the answer.
It is written
He doesn't
by
want to know.
a
He's made his
man
mind
who
up.
lives in the 7th century
become a scholar
who
of Islam and
cannot
the Quran
do
overnight,
fractions.
and he wants to teach
So,
the world.
Adnan, I'm giving
Can
you
I ask
another
you a question?
chance. No, I'm giving you another chance.
Do you know the denominators
Tell me
in these verses?
Exactly. Tell me. No,
do you know the denominators in these verses?
I want you to tell me exactly how I am wrong.
Okay.
I'm giving Adnan a chance.
Give him water. Okay. These verses are clearly dealing with different situations, people with different number of children and a different number of inheritors, right? So Quran is giving different scenarios and how to work them out. The scholars of Islam have worked them out with different denominators, right? He clearly doesn't understand. Wait. No. Let me finish. Do you want the answer? Do you want the? Yeah. Okay. It's clear that you have a very superficial understanding of the Quran. Would you accept? Would you accept that? Would you accept that?
In this matter,
no. Quran is not common sense. No. You need to study. Is neuroscience common sense? Is neuroscience common sense? Is neuroscience common sense?
In this matter, what I am saying agrees with tafsir. I have read the tafsir for this verse.
Quran is a complex book that needs to be explained by scholars who know the Arabic language and they know the context. They know what is in the Quran and they know the history of these. Okay. Don't buy it. Buy something else. Buy a coffee. I'm fasting.
And so, if what I have said is false, then I ask you, Adnan, what is meant? How are you meant to divide the inheritance of a man who has 2 daughters, a mother, a father, and a wife? How are you meant to divide his inheritance?
You really want to know?
I want to know the exact answer to that question.
I will. If I give you an answer.
The exact answer.
Okay. This needs calculations. Did you know
Yes.
that? It needs mathematics. And I'm not, I don't have a calculator fitted in my head. Okay? No. Principles, you have to understand. You know, inheritance. Okay, can you answer me?
If there were 5 sons, 2 daughters, and 3 wives, and I said,
hello.
And he said, blah, 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 blah. But anyway. So
I didn't do blah 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 blah.
Okay,
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That's your version of my words. Just like the Quran, he's doing blah 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 blah.
Tell us what is
The
meant to
Quran is
happen.
doing blah 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 blah.
Tell us what is
Okay,
meant to happen
wait.
in this situation.
Okay, let me explain.
Tell us what is meant to
Let me
happen in
explain.
this
I'm gonna ask you a question now. If your father owns 5,
No.
I'm asking. I'm gonna show you how stupid you are.
Tell me what the shares are meant to be in this situation.
Okay, I'm answering your question.
No, tell me.
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question.
This is a question.
I'm answering.
This is a question that can be answered with just a figure.
Can I answer your question?
Tell me the exact answer.
Will you let me exact answer? Is the what's your name? Yes or no? What's your name? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? What's your name? What's your name? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? What's your name? Yes or no? You see how it feels? You see how it feels? You're being stupid. You're being stupid. Be civilized. Be an English gentleman. Right? And let me talk to you. I'm not English, but I can be a gentleman. Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. Follow English manners. Follow English manners. Right? Okay? Don't try to imitate Trump, because you're not as good as him. Trust me. Okay? Now the question is, if your father owns a property worth...
No, that's not the question. That's not.
He answered you, man.
I have asked.
He answered.
Are you not embarrassed by him?
No, he's right.
He's right.
Because I am asking.
What? I haven't even said anything, and you think I'm babbling.
You're asking him a question in answer
Excuse
to
me.
his question.
Rob, you were exposed a number of times.
You give me example to the pizza. I need to give him example.
I'm going to answer. There's a reason why he doesn't want me to talk, because he knows the more I will talk, the more he will look stupid.
Give us the exact answer.
I am trying to give an exact answer. I'm asking you a question.
Okay, he's going to divert, but I'm going to allow
I'm asking you a question.
Everyone listen to how he diverts.
Please, can you shut up and let him answer?
Can you be quiet for 1 minute?
I'll give you another chance.
Thank you for your chance. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for saving my life.
I've been trying to get you.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm giving you another chance.
Let the man speak. Come on, hurry up, Adnan. Are you interested in the truth of it, or you?
Can you be quiet for 1 minute?
Okay, he's quiet.
Rob, do you agree with these manners?
I'll give you £50 if you shut up.
Do you agree with these manners? Why do you guys lose your standard and your morality over a discussion? You can simply say he's wrong. You know what he's doing. Yeah, thank you. Now listen to Rob. Okay. Now, Jamie or James, I have a question. If your father owns a property worth 550,000 and 550,883 pounds. Okay? Simple question. And your father left behind 2 daughters, 2 sons, and 2 parents. Right? Mother and father. Right? Yes? How would you distribute their wealth? How would you break it down? According to the English law. Yeah.
The father decides. He writes this in his will.
Okay. According to the Islamic law, as you understand it. Go on. How? I want a quick answer. Quick answer. You claim to have an understanding of these verses, which I don't. I'm clearly ignorant. You are trying to teach us. You're trying to teach us now. Can you give me a breakdown of these verses according to your understanding, whatever your understanding is? A man who owns a property of 550,883 pounds. He's got 2 daughters, 3 sons, and 2 parents. How would he distribute this wealth? How would you do it? Go on.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to interrupt me?
No.
Okay.
1 minute.
So according to the Quran, what it says, as I've gone through, is that 2/3 of the estate, which is equal to, 500,833, I think, pounds. 2/3 of that will go to the daughters, and each daughter will get an equal amount. Then you multiply the value of the estate by a 6th, and you give that to the father. You multiply the value of the estate by a 6th, and you give that to the mother. And you multiply the value of the estate by an 8th, and you give that to the wife. This, of course, doesn't work because the shares add up to more than 100%. As I've already explained, and so the Quran is in error here. You cannot follow the instructions in the Quran perfectly because the instructions in the Quran are, they don't work. They're mathematically flawed. And so in order to compensate for this, Muslim scholars have had to later fix it by coming up with Islamic jurisprudence which does something different to what it says in the Quran.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yeah.
So you didn't answer my question. No, you didn't. No, you did not. Because you still don't know how the Quranic inheritance works. You have no idea. You haven't studied it. Okay. It is a complicated issue in the sense, there are decimals that work. The scholars of Islam have worked it out. Okay. And it's wait. Again. Look. How can we have a conversation? How can we have a conversation? Have you studied this subject in depth? Be honest.
In enough depth.
What is enough depth?
I've read
by reading 3 verses of the Quran?
And the tafsir.
Which tafsir?
Jalalain.
Jalalain is not depth. Jalalain is don't do that. Don't do that. Jalalain. If I did that to your sources, you're an atheist. If I said evolution, if I said to you evolution is false because we don't come from monkeys, would you laugh at me? Hold on. Would you laugh at me? If I said evolution is false because we don't come from monkeys, would you laugh at me? No. Yes. I know. Would you laugh at me? If I said we don't come from monkeys, would you laugh at me? Would you laugh at me? Rob, answer my question. If I said evolution is false because we don't come from monkeys, would you laugh at me? Simple question. Rob, I'm asking a simple question. Thank you. And I'm laughing at him for the same reason. You would ask me, what did you read on evolution? I would say, I read on Wikipedia. You would laugh at me even more. Right. So, do you have another error in the Quran? Do you have another error? We want to know. We've addressed it. Do you have another error? No, we have addressed it. Okay, I have failed to address it. Do you have another error? I have failed to address it. I have failed to.
No, I do, but I want to ask you, so the Quran literally says, as I have read it out, okay. But the scholars have noticed. The scholars have noticed.
If I was you, I would pull 5 or 6 of them out right now. Do you have another error?
I want to nail this one down because Adnan, do you know what Membaria is?
Is this the best you can come out with?
It's one of the best.
Really?
Yeah. You can't answer it.
You guys are desperate now. You guys are very desperate. You know God exists. You don't like that fact. You know God exists. You know people of religion have argued successfully. You know you look stupid now. You look stupid now. All you can do is, out of desperation, you will come and make claims against Islam falsely. Okay. Now, so you have nothing else now. Islam is false. Okay. So what?
It's about this. We're going to move it. I want to move the discussion down now.
Yes.
Let's get in depth. Let's get in depth. What Membaria is the Arabic word for the process by which scholars have devised a scheme, a procedure for redividing the wealth to fix what the Quran says. Isn't that true? No. What is Membaria then? Please tell the crowd what is Membaria.
I don't know.
Oh. So he's saying that I do not know what the the details, what the advanced understanding of Islamic inheritance law is.
You clearly read about it. Where did you
read it? I've spoken to this with Muhammad Hijab, and he spoke to me in depth about what Membaria was. And I can perform Membaria in this case.
How did Muhammad Hijab explain this to you in decimals?
In fractions.
Let's see this man's
in fractions.
Let us see his dishonesty. He is having this discussion. Wait. Now I know what's happening. He's had this discussion with Muslims before. He has been explained. Wait. What? How did? Wait. James, I know it's tough. I know. James, can you explain to me how did Muhammad?
I'll ask for help from Muhammad Hijab. He's doing better than you.
No. Can you explain how he explained it?
Yeah. So, in cases where the Quran tells you to divide up a person's inheritance, and it tells you to divide up the inheritance such that the shares of the inheritance add up to more than one and are therefore impossible to divide in the designated fractions, scholars came up with a workaround, a fix, a patch, you could say, called Mimbaria, which is they add up all the sums that add up to more than 1, and then they take the reciprocal of that and they multiply each share by the reciprocal in order to reduce them all proportionately so that it adds up to more than 1.
So you know the answer?
Yes,
So you know the
but that
answer?
isn't in the
Oh
Quran.
my God.
That is false.
Okay.
That is not in the Quran.
Okay, wait.
That is an error which scholars had to fix later on.
Okay, good.
Do you understand?
Good.
definition of false.
And you couldn't tell me that. I asked you so many times
know,
and
a
you
lot of
couldn't
the
tell
things
me that.
Muslims do-
I asked you so many times and you just skittered. You ran away. You went here and there and you couldn't answer it.
Oh,
and
I'm crying now.
Yeah.
I cry, baby, now.
No, I'm sad.
James,
Sick of
come
the
on.
audience.
People are getting bored now. Okay.
By you.
Can we?
Because I just wanted a straight answer.
Okay, I don't have a straight
You
answer.
couldn't give that.
I don't have a straight
Then
answer.
go away.
Okay. Now,
You're
Islam
not
is
good.
false.
You're bad at
Islam
this.
is false.
Yeah, there are better
Thank
people
you.
who could do this
Thank you,
instead of
James.
you.
Thank you. Everyone could see how stupid you are to claim things about Islam, and then not know about them.
No,
and the
I do
answer,
know about
I asked
them.
you about 3. I asked you about 5 names of commentaries. You only gave me 2. That means you are absolutely ignorant about Islamic sources. How can you come and claim here that you know about Islamic sources? Standing here like a scholar. Come on. You should have some shame. Rob, if I read one book on evolution, what would you say to me? If I was to stand and say, evolution is false, I have read one book on it. What would you say?
I would say that's a good step.
Yes, thank you.
Stop shouting at me.
Okay.
That doesn't make anything any
all
better.
right,
I'm not
shout like- you
Rob,
shout like
I
you-
just don't like the hypocrisy. I'm allergic. I start
is there
sneezing
anyone
when
in
there's
that crowd
hypocrisy around me.
about
Bunch of hypocrites you guys are. Seriously, you guys are a bunch of hypocrites. No. There is no error. He just explained. He knows the answer. The point is, you guys know our answers, but you keep coming back and you keep posing same questions as if you're making a point. Brownie points.
Why are you worried about him? Shout, it's making a point now. If you
Yes.
like it,
So now, James. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Let's assume. Fine. Are you happy now? Okay. The point is now, you could not give me a.
Sorry, man. Do you know what he's trying to tell you? Let me explain to you. Hold on, before you talk over me like you've been talking over him for the last, I think, hour now.
I've given
What
him a
is?
lot of chances.
Just hold on
to
a
be
second.
fair.
Can I have like 1 minute?
Okay, but I have given
Is that
him
right?
a lot
1
of
minute?
chances.
Is 1 minute all right? Let me explain to you. 1 minute, yeah. Okay, so I'll just talk to my camera and to the crowd, yeah. The fact of the matter is, you've gone over. Hold on a second. No. What he's trying to tell you. It sounds like you're worried. I haven't even said anything yet.
Okay, go on.
Is that right? Yeah. What he's trying to tell you.
Other people can hear, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure they can hear me. Don't worry. Your voice is breaking though. Listen, the fact of the matter is, what he's trying to tell you is you've gone over how many tafsir?
On this?
How many tafsir?
Like, I went onto a website and I looked through all of them, but some of them.
Yes, I know, but how many tafsir?
Like, on this thing too.
Could you just let me know how many tafsir? I'm just asking. 2 tafsir. Do you know how many tafsirs exist? Do you know how many tafsirs exist? The two tafsir exist with you. The 2 tafsir. How long did you study these for?
Not that
Is
long.
the question confusing? Not that
long.
Hold on.
On this
How long?
issue,
How long?
And these hypocrites
How
laugh
long?
at us
How
when
long?
we say evolution is false. And if someone will say, I've only read 1 or 2 books, they laugh at you.
Adnan, he answered, ladies and gentlemen, he answered that he studied 2 tafsir. 2 tafsir. And for you who do not know, there are many tafsir. And he studied them for half an hour.
Yes.
Half an hour. So now, I ask you, who looks like a clown here?
Is that the best you can do?
That is the best I can do. That is the best I can do. Enjoy yourself.
You have been dismissed. Now, can you say sorry? And I think that will be nicely done.
On the
I think that's done, my friend.
No, it's not.
Bye-bye.
Next
Okay.
Islam.
Therefore, Islam is not false.
Weak.
Because he couldn't define masturbation.
Okay, so like what on the issue of the last thing that I don't know his name asked was
This is a knockdown argument.
the last thing that he asked was how many tafsir have I read? Okay, and indeed, like I read 2 in detail, and I went onto a website which compares tafsir, and all the tafsir for these verses say the same thing. They just paraphrase what is written in the Quran. Because the Quran says in clear detail what the shares of the inheritance are meant to be, and clearly in this circumstance they don't add up to one, and they produce an impossible result which is logically incoherent and false. And so, I challenged them very specifically. I told them what the shares added up to according to the Quran, and then I asked them, if I am wrong, then tell me what the shares should actually be. And they didn't do that. I asked them so many times, and all they did was, oh, well, how many tafsirs have you read? Oh, well, what about in the case where there's five husbands and 2 wives? And they never answered the question. No, it's because they do know, and they know that what I'm saying is correct. Yeah, the scholars, that's exactly it. The scholars have corrected the Quran. Okay, so did everyone get to that point about how Islamic inheritance law is mathematically incorrect? Correct, yes. Did anyone not catch that argument? Okay, we'll move on to a new topic then. Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, these guys can't head out.
Okay, we're gonna do one more kind of like error in the Quran. This is going to be a scientific error. It's a.
Oh, I love these. I love these.
So, a quick scientific error in the Quran. In the Quran, it claims that meteors or shooting stars are the same thing as actual stars, and they are missiles that are fired by angels at jinni who are eavesdropping in heaven. Okay? The Quran states that shooting stars or meteorites are the same thing as stars, and they are missiles that are fired at jinni trying to eavesdrop in heaven. Where does it claim this? It claims this in Surah 67, verse 5. Yes, I will read what it says in the Quran. And we have certainly beautified the nearest heaven with lamps, i.e. stars, and have made from them what is thrown at the devils, and have prepared for them the punishment of the blaze. Okay? Now let us be clear. Where it says the nearest heaven in the Quran, Muslims understand this to mean that there are 7 heavens, and of them, the nearest heaven refers to the space above us, like the galaxy, all of the universe that we can access via rockets. That is the nearest heaven, okay? And it says that, and it also says, in verse 15, it elaborates on this. In Surah 15, it elaborates. What it says in Surah 15 is, and we have placed within the heaven great stars, and have beautified it for the observers, and we have protected it from every devil expelled from the mercy of Allah, except one who steals a hearing. Steals a hearing means eavesdrop, by the way. Who steals a hearing and is pursued by a clear burning flame. Okay? So this is saying that shooting stars are the same thing as meteorites, and that these are being shot at jinni who are eavesdropping on heaven. Now, how we know that this is false is the fact that we have analyzed the trajectories of meteorites, and we know that they are simply rocks that are moving underneath the forces of gravity. They never change direction halfway through. We can predict their paths perfectly according to gravitational equations. The claim that the equivalence that is made in the Quran of stars and meteorites is also false. Shooting stars, aka meteorites, are not the same as stars. Meteorites are just rocks which travel through the atmosphere and and bits of dust behind them glow because of the speed at which they're traveling and the friction through the atmosphere. Whereas stars are gigantic balls of hydrogen and helium. So they are not the same. This is a scientific error in the Quran, and it is in It is several places in the Quran. It's in Surah 67 verse 5, Surah 15 verses 16 to 18, and other places.
This person was
Whatever you're saying, right, can be misinterpreted right here, how you read. Because there's verses, there's clear verses. Allah speaks about there's two types of verses. There's clear verses and there's ambiguous verses, meaning that only those, one second, mutashabihat ayats means that ambiguous verses not everyone can understand. So Allah says go to those who have knowledge. So if anyone has knowledge of specific things about the universe or the stages of how the baby is born, any scientific elements or anything that is unseen right here, not everyone is going to be clarified with that. So you need someone who has knowledge to explain that. You don't have the knowledge to explain that.
All right, that's a very good point. Thank you. What's your name? Zian? Okay, Ziad, sorry. Yeah, that's an excellent claim. So, or excellent point. So, Ziad has just pointed out, you know, these verses might be unclear. Like, what if they're not actually referring to meteors? That's what you're driving at. Okay, and so we can answer this question though by referring to hadith, because there is a Sahih hadith about this exact same issue, which makes it very clear. And please let me read this Sahih hadith. This is Sahih Muslim, book 26, hadith 5538. Classification Sahih. No, sorry. I really want to provide this evidence to the crowd. Okay. Abdullah ibn Abbas reported, a person from Ansar who was amongst the companions of Allah's Messenger reported to me, as we were sitting during the night, Allah's Messenger, a meteor shot gave a dazzling light. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, "What did you say in the pre-Islamic days when there was such a shot?" They said, "Allah and his Messenger know best, but we, however, used to say that very night a great man had been born and a great man had died." Whereupon Allah's Messenger said, "These meteors are," in a minute, sir, "these meteors are shot neither at the death of anyone nor the birth of anyone." Yes. And he goes on to say, in this process of transmission, the jinn snatches what he manages to overhear and he carries it to his friends. And when the angels see the jinn, they attack him with meteors. So, the Quran is talking about meteors. No. I'm going to explain this. Yes, if they narrate only that which they manage to steal, that is correct. But they alloy it with lies and make additions to it. So, no, this is a Sahih hadith which elaborates and explains these verses in the Quran. Yes, what's your question?
Jesus washes ass. Do you wash your ass?
I don't worship Jesus.
Huh?
No.
What are you, atheist? Who are you worship then?
So, sir, what was your question?
So we turn to commentary.
You only need the clear verses to get your salvation.
It's all wrong. You're saying it's
you need to understand the clear verses
2,000 years ago,
for you to get
how many
salvation.
telescopes or whatever, what did they have? You
So
comparing
ambiguous verses,
time
you don't
over
need to know
2,000 years ago to
ambiguous
time
verses,
now.
right?
Now
You
we can
only
look in
need
the sky.
those
Could
who
they
have
look into the
knowledge
moon and
can
the sky and the stars then?
Whether it's 2,000 years ago or today, meteors work the same way. You know, whether it's 2,000 years ago or today, it remains false that jinnis are being shot at by meteors, because we can observe meteors and they don't change direction. They move under the law of gravity and we can predict their path. And so it is nonsense to believe that these meteors are really fiery missiles being shot at Jinni. James.
Yes. Listen, I'm saying, I know what you're saying. You want to be righteous, you want to be truthful, right? Yeah? You want to say what is right, yeah? Hold on, brother.
I want to show Muslims that they have been misled and they believe in something incorrect.
I know.
I've spent the last hour or so explaining flaws in the Quran.
I'm saying this.
You're quite late. I'm afraid I spent a long time talking. I will repeat it.
Can I just say something? First of all, right, let's not be disingenuous. That's the common word they use in speakers for. I'm saying the Book of Allah, the Quran, is the only source, the only guidance, and the only light. If we take other books here to explain this book, what was the point of him sending a book in the first place? Yes. Listen, I'm a Quranist, so you can't give me that because I don't believe in that.
Okay,
you have to give me something better.
So my talk today is primarily directed at Muslims, particularly those who idolize the Salaf. And okay, so you know, I'm more yes, because the Salaf behaved in evil ways, and we should not. The Salaf behaved in evil ways in 600 AD. Yeah, when the Salaf were alive. The Salaf are the first 3 generations of Muslims, and they are idolized by Orthodox Sunni Muslims who call themselves Salafis. What they have done, which is evil, I will give you a very clear example. And the Salaf, in particular, the Salaf also idolize the so-called righteously guided caliphs. And these are the first 3 or 4 leaders of, well, 4, but some people say 5, but basically 4 leaders of the Muslims after Muhammad. And so what these righteously guided caliphs did, which was evil, was they invaded many lands around, after Muhammad died, they invaded many places. They committed aggressive wars. And one of the most heinous things they did was in the African kingdom of Makuria, which was in Nubia. And so I'm going to read about what happened there. The Bact was a treaty between the Christian state of Makuria and the Muslim rulers of Egypt. Lasting almost 700 years, it is by some measures the longest lasting treaty in history. Okay, the Bact was signed after the 641 Muslim conquest of Egypt. That year, Abdullah ibn Abi Sa'd led an army south against the Christian kingdom of Nubia. Okay, some sections of the Bact are clear, and it goes on to say the Arabs would not attack Nubia and the Nubians would not attack Egypt. The citizens of the 2 nations would be allowed to freely trade and travel between the 2 states. So this sounds okay, right? What's wrong with this treaty? And I'll tell you right now, the most important provision was that 360 slaves per year were to be sent to Egypt. These slaves had to be of the highest quality, meaning that the elderly and children were excluded. The slaves sent had to be a mix of male and female. In some reports, an extra 40 were due, which were distributed among notables in Egypt. So this agreement, which extorted slaves for 641 AD, and it lasted 700 years. I believe it was Uthman was the reigning caliph. It was either Uthman or it was the one before, not Abu Bakr. Yeah, I don't believe Ali was. Yeah, I don't think it happened during Ali's reign. But if Ali did commit this, then I would denounce him as well. Okay. Yeah. So well, Ali didn't rescind this though. Ali didn't undo this though. He allowed it to happen during his reign. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah, that is true. They did kill him. Okay, but anyway, I just want this to be one extremely egregious example of evil conduct by the so-called righteously guided caliphs. And so, if you call yourself a Salafi and you don't believe in slavery, you don't believe in enslaving innocent people, then stop calling yourself a Salafi, because the righteously guided caliphs were not righteously guided. They committed evil acts and they should be denounced.
That's all Sunnis, bro. That's all Sunnis.
Yes, well, it's not all Sunnis. I believe it is mainly Salafis.
No, all Sunnis believe in the 3 righteously guided caliphs.
Well, yeah, but some focus on it though. Some are adamant.
This is what I'm saying to you. All Sunnis believe that Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman are 3 rightly guided caliphs and the 3 best after the Prophet.
Yeah, but some aren't aware, and I'm trying to make them aware now so that they stop.
Forget Muhammad had black slaves.
Yes.
They're not Muslims, they're Zionists. They follow the Zionist religion.
Yeah.
They're Zionist God. And the Quran says the Jews are cursed with their monkeys.
Why do you feel like this word's a curse for then? If I know you're cursing, I'm going to keep away from you.
Yeah.
They're two-faced hypocrites. They're actually two-faced hypocrites.
And I want to give.
They're actually the two-faced
And I want to give. I want to give some more examples of how the Salafis are bad.
He has black slaves. He has black slaves because of the
You
business.
made a statement. Yes? Yes. Okay. My statement is, can I finish, please? Okay, no problem, no problem. No problem. Slavery was managed as well and introduced by the Christians and the Jew at that time. The Christian and the Jew used slavery as a trading.
Does it make it right?
Agree.
Does it make it right?
I agree. No problem. I ask you a question. So don't criticize the Salaf first. You have to. Sorry, because it was at the time.
And I will criticize the right.
You have the right. You have the right. But the thing is, when in time of war, when your opponent use slavery and use your family as a slave, would you hold on? Hold on, please. Hold on, my friend. I let you finish. I let you finish. Please. I let you finish. I can cry as well. I can shout. I let you finish. Please. Yes. Why? At that time, the slave has been used by opponents when in time of the war. Why the Muslim would not do the same?
But he just told you this was a war.
It was okay. Who broke this treaty then? Who broke the treaty? Yes. Who broke it? Who broke it? Who broke it? Who broke? No, it is. It is important. Who broke the treaty? Who broke the treaty?
I don't care who broke the treaty.
No, you have to.
No.
Yes, you have to.
Talking about during
Agree. The peace treaty. Who broke the treaty?
Who cares? The Nubians. I don't care.
You don't know. You don't care. The Nubian broke the treaty.
Fine, the Nubians.
So when the Nubian broke the treaty and they use the slave as weapon, you have the right to do the same.
He's talking about during the peace treaty.
Who broke the
What part
treaty?
you're not listening to?
If you are part, you're not listening.
You just keep
Okay?
ignoring it.
More.
Really, it's just not listening. When you say peace treaty, just
No, I said who broke the treaty? The Nubians. No, I'm not. You don't care. The Nubians broke the treaty.
Okay, so I want to talk more about the threat of Salafi Muslims. Okay, the other bad thing about Salafi Muslims is that they adopt hadiths which oblige them to believe in very heinous things. So one of the hadiths that they place a lot of importance on is can be found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, book 39, hadith 2676, classification Sahih, which means authentic. And this is the hadith which says, whoever amongst you sees this, then he must stick to my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided caliphs. Click it with their molars, or bite down to it with your molars. So this is what they draw. This is how they justify their idolization of the caliphs. And another one which the Salafis believe in can be found in Sunan Abu Dawud, book 41, hadith 4590, where it goes on to say, you must. Sorry. For those of you who live after me will see great disagreement. You must then follow my sunnah and that of the rightly guided caliphs. Hold to it and stick fast to it. Avoid novelties, for every novelty is an innovation and every innovation is an error. That's Sunan Abu Dawud, book 41, hadith 4590, classification Sahih. Okay? And so, what are the consequences of this? We need to go to the consequences.
Give orders by law and we're gonna.
Yeah, and so the result of idolizing the Salaf in this way
do we have to obey
is
when the president give orders by rules and regulation? Do we have to obey? Do we have to obey?
I want to make one more
Do
thing.
we have to obey?
I want to demonstrate to you what the scholarly consensus was in the time of the Salaf. Because remember, Salafi Muslims believe that the Islam practiced by the Salaf was the purest and most noble and most ideal version of Islam in existence. That is what Salafi Muslims believe. And I am going to read what the Salafis believed. So this is a book of comparative Islamic jurisprudence. It is The Mercy in the Difference of the Four Schools of Sunni Islamic Law. It is written by Al-Qadi As-Safadi, who was the jurist in charge of Damascus in the Middle Ages. And so this is his chapter on military expeditions. And what it says is, the Imams agree. So this is the 4 Imams in charge of the 4 schools of Islamic jurisprudence. The Islams agree that jihad is a fard kifaya, which means, so a fard kifaya, fard is Arabic for obligatory. Kifaya means when it is undertaken by some Muslims, it is not as obligatory on other Muslims. Okay? They agree that the people of every frontier must fight the unbelievers close to them. Okay? I repeat, the four Imams agree that the people of every frontier must fight the unbelievers close to them. So, Salafi Islam believes that this Islam practiced by the Salaf is the ideal form of Islam, an Islam where all Muslims must make war on non-Muslims who are at the frontier near to them. That is not peaceful, that is warlike, aggressive, that's immoral. So this is what, so, well, if you say,
relationship with states and there's relationship between people.
Yeah.
So Islam's got a guidance
what about,
in terms of war, a guidance in terms of relationship with people, a guidance in terms of relationship with other states.
You misunderstand.
Because the Prophet Muhammad,
I'm afraid you don't understand.
had Jews living under him with the Sharia implemented.
Yes, because they were dhimmi. Yes,
Exactly.
but
What is a dhimmi? What is a dhimmi?
Of course.
Explain a dhimmi.
okay, a dhimmi is a non-Muslim subject of the Islamic State.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
No,
But the four Imams say that Muslims living in the Salaf time, Muslims must fight unbelievers in the frontier near to them. So it is saying that you must conquer the world. It's saying that you must make war against everyone.
I'm trying to explain what is a dhimmi.
Okay.
Explain a dhimmi and correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Well, explain me what
No,
is a dhimmi.
I want to talk about this. So
Because it's book about the dhimmi.
point by point, the final point I want to make is one, Salafi Muslims believe that the kind of Islam practiced by the Salaf, the first 3 generations of Muslims, was the most ideal and perfect form of Islam.
What is Salafi?
Please can I have that back, sir?
He doesn't want to give it to me. What is
Okay.
Salafi?
Explain correctly what is a
someone-
dhimmi, please.
What
So-
is Salafi?
Can you explain
Can I have that
correctly
back?
what is a dhimmi? Can you explain what is a dhimmi?
Salafi.
Or do you want me to explain what is a dhimmi?
Excuse me, can I have that back?
What is Salafiyah? What is Salafiyah? Who are the Salaf?
Can you explain what is a dhimmi?
Keep going on about
Excuse me,
Salafi.
sir, can I have that paper back?
Just looking at it. Leave him, man.
No, please can I have it back?
Leave him.
Islam about
No, it's not. It's not.
Just leave
Leave
him.
him. Leave him.
Can you explain what is a dhimmi, please?
What is a Salafi? What is Salafi?
Hold on.
A member of the crowd has taken one of my papers.
What is? Are you concerned about your paper?
Please, can you give me back my paper? Thank you very much.
Can
Okay.
you explain what is a dhimmi, please?
Put it for you.
A dhimmi, we
Put it for him.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much.
Look,
So,
in the Quran,
Explain, please, what is a dhimmi? Yes.
the Quran said
non-Muslim
that the
subject
opponents
of
of
the
Islam
Islamic
and
State.
Muhammad
Okay.
said,
So,
That's it.
but
where's
No,
the
please, I have to correct
For
you.
him, yes,
What
let
is a
him.
dhimmi?
Man sha'a
Okay,
falyu'min.
okay. So,
What is a dhimmi? Please,
I'm sorry for the
correct me.
interruptions, everyone. I'm going to finish soon. My final point is, Salafi Muslims believe that the ideal form of Islam
I'm going to explain you what is a dhimmi.
by Muslims is that practiced by the first 3 generations of Muslims. The first 3 generations of Muslims believed that, according to their Imams, they agree that the people of every frontier must fight the unbelievers close to them. This is telling Muslims to make war on Muslims who are nearby. This is what Salafi Muslims actually believe. This is what Salafi Muslims actually believe. So I'm going to finish now. My voice is a bit empty, but thank you everyone. Yeah.
I know I'm going to have.
I'm not a liar. I speak truth.
The best you can have is a red herring that's got nothing to do with the topic. What is it?
I told you.
No, you don't.
I told you.
No, you don't tell me. You didn't tell. A dhimmi, you want me to say a dhimmi?
Yeah, it's a non-Muslim subject to the
That's
Islamic
it.
State.
That's your definition.
Yeah.
That's your definition.
I agree.
No. In counterparty, what does dhimmi has the right to do?
It depends.
It depends. Okay, go ahead.
It depends on which school of jurisprudence you follow.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'll read out some of the rules
No
that
problem.
Jimmy...
Go ahead.
And what is this going to prove? What is this going to prove?
It's going to prove that the dhimmi has the right to exercise freely his religion and freely his business.
What's that got to do with his point?
What was the in Europe? Was it the same in Europe for the Jew and the Muslims?
Do you know what a red
Was
herring
it the
is?
same
Do
for the
you
Christian
know?
and Muslims?
Yes. Do you know what a
Where?
red herring is?
Where?
Do you know what a red herring is? Do you know what that is?
Yes.
What is a red herring? Tell me.
Herrings.
A red herring.
I don't
That's
know.
a logical fallacy that you are using.
Okay.
His point was about war. You're talking about something that has nothing to do with war.
Okay.
So the
Stick to
dhimmi,
the topic.
I'm going to use your red fallacy.
You want me to tell you
You
about
don't
dhimmi?
even know.
Yes,
it.
okay.
Try again.
So
Because I'm going to prove your history you're wrong.
About
Yes,
dhimmis.
yes, I'm sure you
Non-Muslims
are.
in the Islamic State. Okay.
Yeah, the Edict of Granada, 1492. Edict of Granada, 1492. Prove you that you were wrong.
Schools of Islamic law believe. Okay. They agree. They refers to the four imams, Shafi, Hanbali, Maliki and Hanafi. These are the four imams who founded the four schools of Islamic law during the Salaf, the first 3 generations of Muslims. They agree that it is not permitted to build a new church or synagogue in cities in the land of Islam. Okay? So if you are a Muslim living in the Islamic State, you cannot build new churches. Imagine if we said to Muslims, you can't build new synagogues. That's what your Salaf did to non-Muslims. So,
No problem.
you know, it's apartheid.
No problem.
It's treating people as second-class citizens.
No problem. I'm going to use history. Yes. When?
You agree that it's apartheid?
Yes, I agree.
It's apartheid.
My friend, we stick to history.
So
My friend,
go live in South Africa and you know
I'm going to stick
agree
to
with
history.
apartheid.
I'm going to stick.
Apartheid is
I'm
evil,
going to stick to
dude.
history. What happened when the Muslims, the Fatimids, destroyed the Holy Church in Jerusalem? What happened? What happened?
I'm tired now.
What happened?
Why are you tired?
What happened?
I've been here for 2 hours, dude.
Hold on. When the Fatimids destroyed the Holy Church of the Christ in Jerusalem, what happened?
Make him happy. Just say Christianity
What happened?
first. Doesn't make you
What happened?
in the story.
What happened?
Can you repeat that?
I said when the Fatimid Empire destroyed the Holy Church of Christ in Jerusalem, what happened?
I know, were they punished or something?
No, they rebuilt it. You see?
But
What does that prove?
You don't know your history? Huh?
What does that prove?
That's a proof. That's proof that realistically, church and synagogue will continue to be built.
No, that doesn't mean a new church has been built.
Oh yeah? Okay, you go. Okay,
That means what one. That means if
I am from Tunisia.
If a pre-existing church is knocked down
If it's not
illegally,
the case,
then in the past it was rebuilt. But that doesn't mean that Jews or
If
Christians
it's
were
not the
allowed to
case-
build new churches.
if it's not the
They had
case,
they weren't
the
allowed.
synagogue-
Only
the
you
synagogue
know
in
Muslims were
Tunisia,
allowed.
where was
That's
the
you know
synagogue of-
apartheid.
The synagogue of Tunisia, when was rebuilt? The synagogue of Tunisia, when was rebuilt? When? Yes, when? I ask you.
If it's not during the first 3 generations of the Muslims, then it's not during the Salaf, and I'm talking about Salafi Muslims.
When the synagogue of the synagogue was built in Tunisia, when?
Tell me.
Yes, you know what?
Tell me.
13th century.
So that's not the Salaf. So that's not the Salaf, is it? That's not the Salaf.
Ah, yes, that's not the Salaf.
The 13th century is not during the Salaf, is it?
Sorry?
The 13th century is not during the Salaf.
Are you sure? In Tunisia?
The 13th century.
Who was managing the
Who
You doesn't know your history.
So who was alive amongst the Sahaba, the Tabi'in, or the Tabi'in during the 13th century?
Oh yeah, that's what
No
you call
one.
the Sahaba.
Exactly.
The Salaf.
Exactly. So the Salaf weren't alive. So it's not about the Salaf.
No.
So you aren't contradicting
Someone is
me.
Salaf is someone just follow the Salaf. Salafi.
No, I'm talking about
Sahaba.
no, I'm talking about the actual Salaf. I'm not saying Salafi. I'm saying Salaf. Anyway.
I think shouting loudly and bringing up red herrings is a response.
I mean, I shouted loudly. Oh, you know what'll be interesting? Seeing which parts of me like being rude to Adnan they edit out, because definitely.
The whole thing,
but definitely, like, obviously some they'll like grandstand and be like, oh, look at the bad manners, like blah blah. But other parts, like, I know, I don't think they like being
Adnan
mocked
just
like
shouts
that.
loudly. He didn't make a single point. He made red herrings as well. It's clear that the Quran has got a numerical error with the inheritance, and the only way they can correct it is by the scholars reducing the amounts.
Yes.
That's not what it says in the Quran.
Yeah.
But listen to them. They have to tap dance around,
and,
shout,
and,
red herrings.
they aren't even willing to say that because they
Of
know.
course not.
Yeah, when I actually made their argument for them and said, look, I'll tell you what the scholars have come up with. I'll tell you what memory is. It's like, oh, so you do know, and it's like.
Is there any good side for Islam?
Is there any what?
Good side.
Yes.
We have bad
Yes.
side.
Yes, there
any
is.
good side?
Yes, there is. Yes.
For
Like-
the Muslims or Islam? Because we make a difference between Islam and Muslims. Between Christianity and Christianity.
Islam says to do good things. It says to look after orphans and so on. When I first got onto my chair, I wanted to make a warning against Salafi Muslims, because if you're stating that you believe that the ideal form of Islam is the Islam that was practiced by the Salaf and the righteously guided caliphs, then you have problems, because the righteously guided caliphs did evil things and the Salaf did evil things.
These are all of them are Muslims, not Islam. They are Muslims.
Yes, but if you believe that the kind
What about
of
the Sufis?
if you believe that the Islam that they practiced is the ideal form of Islam, then you're in trouble, aren't you? Because then you believe that things like the Baqt, which I was talking about,
yes,
are allowed and good and okay.
Yes, it happened in Nubia, not in
Yeah,
Egypt.
in south of Egypt, in Nubia, in Nubia, yes.
It is in Nubia.
Yes.
Are you going to come back? Are you staying for a while?
Yeah, I'll stay for a while.
Let me get you a drink and then we come back.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, let's go.
Even I'm from Sudan. Even in Sudan, say that this one is a crime against.
Okay, guys, hope you've enjoyed it. I will be back shortly. I'm just going to get James a drink. I'm going to get a drink myself. Going to change the battery out, so keep an eye out. I'll start a second stream in about probably 15-20 minutes, so keep your eyes out for that, and I'll be back again. If you want to support me, go to patreon.com/Speakers Corner UK. Help me get to my target of $150 a month, and then I can get down here once a month and stream for you for as long as the batteries last. I've got another battery here. I'm going to carry on hopefully until at least 7 o'clock or later, so I'll be back with you in probably about 15-20 minutes, give or take. All right, guys.
If you are Muslims,